like a dog. It's been a hard day's night. I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get into you, I find the things that I do, you make me feel alright. You know I work all day to get your money, to buy your things. And it's worth it just to hear you say you're gonna give me everything. So why I love to come home, cause when I get you alone, you know I'll be okay. When I'm home, everything seems to be alright. When I'm home, feeling you holding me tight, tight. It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night. I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get into you, I find the things that I do, you make me feel alright.
Hello, good morning, participants and our fellow classmates. So my name is Professor Joshua Miguel Gamus, and I am one of the MCs for today's webinar. So ladies and gentlemen, in just 1 minute, we will start the program. So while waiting, guys,
Good
kindly,
morning,
set back,
participants
guys, now, and
our
relax.
fellow classmates.
Kindly wait for
My name is
our
Professor Joshua Miguel Gamus,
and
and I
our
am one of the
speakers. Thank you.
MCs
For today's webinar. So ladies and gentlemen, in just 1 minute, we will start the program. So while waiting, guys,
Good
kindly,
morning,
set back,
participants
guys, now, and
our
relax.
fellow classmates.
Kindly wait for
My name is
our
Professor Joshua Miguel Gamus.
So nurses, good morning once again. We would like to ask if you can hear our mic properly. Kindly type yes in the chat box below. Let me repeat. While waiting for our speakers, kindly type yes on your chat box below if you can hear our mics. Mic check lang po tayo. Right, that's good. Sir Mark, kindly please unmute your mic so that we can test if your mic is working.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Right. Guys, can you hear Mr. Mark Tibayan's mic? Kindly type yes if you can hear it. All right, good. So once again, guys, thank you so much for your time for being here because we know that you have a lot of commitments today since it's Saturday. So while waiting for our guest speakers, Sir Mark, as Sir Mark Tibayan, as one of our I believe Sir Mark is right. Sir Mark, can you hear me? Can you unmute your mic, sir?
Loud and clear, sir.
Right. So, Sir Mark, as one of the MCs of this program, Sir Mark, since while waiting, Sir Mark, what do you think is the, sir, like parang expectations natin dito sa program na to na matututunan ng ating mga participants, Sir Mark? Well, to begin with, Sir Mark, no, for me, parang it will open our perspectives regarding the mental health because as far as I'm concerned, Sir Mark, no, resiliency is related to proper mental health, Sir Mark. So it's an honor for us, no, to have this kind of webinar, right? How about you, Sir Mark? What's your insight
Yes,
about
sir.
this
Actually,
program?
yes, sir. Actually, I'm very excited to meet our speakers for today since they are going to share about different opinions, different pros and cons about the possibilities of teaching, especially nowadays.
Exactly, Sir Mark. And I believe one of our speakers, no, is to tell you honestly, a personal friend of mine because he was my fellow national reviewer when I was teaching the NLE. And since the second speaker natin, she's also one of the most parang highly successful in the field of nursing, Sir Mark. And sobrang lucky natin to have both of them in this webinar. So yeah, actually tama yun, Sir Mark, no? Because there are more challenges along the way when it comes to the mental health in related to nursing. So while waiting for them, guys, participants, and our fellow colleagues, again, if you have any like clarifications with our process, like the Zoom video, or if our mics are not working on your devices, kindly let us know so that we can provide you an efficient and smooth webinar. All right. So I believe in just 10 minutes or 5 minutes, we are going to start the webinar. So thank you so much once again. Right. So again, good morning to all the participants and all our colleagues and speakers, guys, for today's webinar. So distinguished guests, students, and colleagues, I have a pleasant morning to all of you. So my name is Professor Joshua Miguel Gamos, and alongside with me is Mr. Mark Joseph Tibayan. And of course, guys, it's our privilege and great pleasure on behalf of La Concordia College Graduate School to welcome all of the people here today. Guys, all right? So to start our program, let us kindly observe the following reminders. Let us see. Right, so that's us, guys. Yep. So let's proceed with our reminders. So general reminders lang po tayo, guys. So please put your microphones on mute unless you want to ask questions to our guest speakers, right? So you can locate the mute button if you're using a laptop or a personal computer. You can locate the unmute button here, guys, so on the left lower part of the screen. Well, if you're using a devices such as iPhone or any Android devices, kindly swipe right, then you will see an unmute button there. Right. So proper decorum must be observed at all times, and it is ultimately a must, guys. All right. Please indicate your full name, such as like example De La Cruz 1 and institution or affiliation for identification and documentation purposes. Questions will be entertained after each speaker. And guys, last but not the least, guys, now we want this webinar to be as interactive as possible. So guys, you may type your questions through the chat box below. Right, guys, so, excuse me. All right, guys, so our topic for today is resiliency and possibilities in the new era of teaching and learning. So let me give you an overview, guys. Now, excuse me. Right, wait lang po, my laptop is not working. Right. So guys, the overview of this program is about the COVID-19 pandemic effect on our teaching for nurses. So the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted education systems globally. Yes, you heard that right. Affecting the most vulnerable learners the hardest, guys. It has increased inequalities and exacerbated a pre-existing education crisis. School closures have ranged from no closure in a handful of countries to up more than a school year, guys. So, and on top of that, lack of connectivity and devices, guys, excluded at least, guys, 1/3 of students from pursuing learning remotely, guys. So there are sudden changes because of the COVID situation. In midst of the pandemic, we have seen the grapple of the students in learning through the online and the challenges, guys, faced by our nurses who practice their profession in the middle of the new era. Now, guys, we are so lucky that through this webinar, we are able, guys, to introduce our nurses in the most effective way of teaching and learning during this pandemic season. So guys, we are honored to have two esteemed specialists, guys, in the field to enhance and lighten our minds. So prepare yourself to be challenged, excited, and inspired in our webinar, guys. All right. Are you still with me, guys? Can I see a yes on your screen if you're still with us? Wala pang 1 hour, natutulog na ata. Yes or no? Guys, are you still with us? Hello, guys, can you type yes if you're still with us? Right, guys, now I understand, guys, that because it's already lunchtime, guys. So, guys, it's really fine for us, guys, if you want to eat while you're listening to our guest speakers. Right? Pero guys, let me have a favor to each and every one of you, guys, so to please bow your heads, guys, so as I will endorse Miss Anjudo Racionable for our opening prayers, followed by our national anthem. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Let's bow our heads and feel the presence of our dear Lord. Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We are truly grateful for them. Thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time with another in this seminar. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speaker, and so that he would be able to impart effectively his God-given knowledge to all of us. He may be blessed as he continues to bring his expertise to people who need them. Bless the participants as well so they would be able to glean the vital information from this activity. May you bestow your blessings after this seminar so that we may go out and spread what we learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should be glorify your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
With Angelo Rationable for our opening prayers and singing for the national anthem. So let's move forward. So guys, let me introduce Mr. Alan Ray Borja for our opening remarks. Mr. Alan Ray Borja.
Good morning, Sir Joshua, Sir Mark, and to my fellow classmates. My name is Alan Ray Borja, and first of all, we want to extend our sincerest welcome to all of you for joining us today, especially to our dear mentors who are always there to support and inspire us to push forward and to keep going. To our loving graduate school Dean, Dr. Rosalina A. Kaubik, good morning to you, ma'am. To our dearest professor, Dr. Rodolfo Borromeo, who always remind us that we can achieve more and made us aspire to dream big. Good morning to you, sir. To our dear graduate school program head, Dr. Michael Agari, who's always there to support us at all costs until we reach our dream. Good morning to you, sir. You may be joining us at the comforts of your home, or maybe you're in your respective institutions, or maybe spending time with your family during this weekend. We are really excited to welcome each one of you. This webinar has been designed and developed by the Graduate School of Concordia College for the program of Masters of Science in Nursing. The webinar is entitled Resiliency and Possibility in the New Era of Learning and Teaching. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused unprecedented disruption in the educational system as a whole. Unfortunately, no one has been spared with this, whether you are in the academe or clinical practice or a student. Inequalities has been so evident and worsened the existing and long-standing educational crisis. Disruption of classes and school closures is inevitable in most countries for more than 2 years now. In addition to the problem is slow and lagging internet connectivity, lack of computer devices such as personal computers, tablets, and cell phones, making at least a third of students were left out from pursuing knowledge remotely. In the midst of uncertainty, we have seen the struggle of students in learning through online platform and the trials faced by our nurses and aspiring nurses. Through this webinar, I hope that we are able to introduce new concepts and approach in the most effective and efficient way. Thank you, and may you enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you so much for the spectacular opening remarks, Mr. Alan Ray Borja. So guys, here it is, guys. See, guys, so for our first guest speaker, guys, I'm so excited. He is currently a Faculty 5 at the College of Nursing in the University of Santo Tomas, Manila. He was a former Associate Dean at the University of Manila and a former pediatric nurse at Philippine General Hospital. He earned his PhD in Curriculum and Instruction from Philippine Normal University, an MA in Nursing from Philippine Women's University, and a BS Nursing and Certificate of Midwifery from Bicol University. His current research interests include pedagogy, quality of life, and resilience of student nurses. So guys, he will lead us to the topic today regarding challenges and possibility in the new era of learning, guys. Now, personally, I am proud to present to you one of my mentors, guys, in the Philippines Review Center. May I present to all of you, Mr. Dr. Daniel Joseph E. Berdida. Sir Daniel, welcome po.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Gamos, for that warm introduction.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, hello. Nice to meet you again, no? I think it's providential that I am here at this moment, although it's an holy hour because it's a lunchtime for you guys. So I would like to apologize for that. Actually, there was a tight schedule. I had a lecture in the morning and then this afternoon also 1 to 5. So with your indulgence, thank you very much for allowing me to, change the schedule for my slot. Okay. And also I would like to say hi and thank you for inviting me in to your dean, Dr. Kaubik, and then your professor for the subject, Dr. Borromeo. Good afternoon. And a very good friend of mine, I think your program coordinator, Dr. Agari. We were together in a review center before. So I know that you are in good hands because he can give you a lot of, I think, inspiration. Mr. Agari was able to finish ahead of me in his doctorate. So I think that was one push for me na you really need to finish also your doctorate degree. So right now I am connected in UST and I'm enjoying myself here. I'm doing also my research. So I think the topic that was given to me was about resiliency. So the limitation of my study is actually I'm studying the resiliency among nursing students, but I guess you can include yourselves also since you are also a student in the graduate school, right? Okay, so let me just share my slides. Can you make me a co-host po para makapag-share pa ako ng slide? Thank you.
You may share your slide po.
Thank you. Okay. See, can you confirm my slide right now, pa?
So, DJ, we can see your slide properly.
We can see your slide, though.
Thank you very much. Okay, magandang umaga, magandang hapon po ulit sa ating lahat. And ako po nagagalak at nandito po ako at kasama po ninyo. I'm very happy to be here and be talking again to the future leaders of nursing in the Philippines and I guess in the whole world eventually. Okay, so most of you might have dreams of going out of the country and you will be a leader in your own right once you go out of the country. Those who decided to stay in the Philippines, I am really hoping and praying that you can lead the nursing profession in better places for the next years to come. Since we are anticipating again an increase of nursing students and nursing graduates for the next 10 years. And we can already see that one right now. So you really need to hurry in finishing your master's degree since the nursing education are waiting for you to join us. Okay. So first thing is I would like to express myself in a conflict of interest. The presentation I made right now is purely based on my research and my opinion. And this does not reflect the views of the institution where the speaker is currently connected. So therefore, I declare that I have no conflicts of interest. Okay, so first things first, kumusta po kayo? Kumusta po tayo?
Okay naman po, Doc.
Good, Doc.
Okay, so yeah. So I'm expecting that one kasi merong sagot na okay. So maayos naman. Pwede na namang hindi maayos. So I know that the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, really affected us in one way, actually not one way, but many ways. right? If you try to look back when the pandemic hit us, during that time, as I recall, I was still in PGH that time and about to resign. I already signed my what you call this a contract with UST College of Nursing. So I was contemplating if I'm going to leave PGH or continue to stay there and serve because that was the start of the pandemic, or I have to go out. But since I already signed a contract and tendered my resignation, so I decided I think I need to move forward. But I stayed in PGH for the first 2 months of the pandemic. Kaya alam ko po kung ano yung impact niya at the very beginning. In fact, mga December pa lang nung time na yung 2019, nag-anticipate na kami because we were preparing actually for the influx of patients, no, pagdating. So alam ko po. Now, the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic is not only felt in the front lines, but also in the nursing education. That's why I ask you, because it's more than 2 years right now that we are in the pandemic. The Philippines, I think we are not yet fully recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. And we need to look back and take pieces of lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic and apply it in our practice. So since you are studying, and I know you're also working at the same time, it was a very challenging and tough times for you. Okay, it's not I guess, but I think it was. And it will, it is still continuous, right? You're still adjusting, you have your schoolwork, tapos meron ka pang tinatapos na trabaho. So I know the struggles and the challenges that we are facing, you are facing. Okay, so our learning objectives for this particular webinar will be, at the end of the webinar, we're expecting that the participants will be able to define the role of the nursing education to meet the challenges, in the landscape of teaching and learning. And then the second one, understand the relevant strategies implemented by the nursing education to improve the delivery of teaching and learning. And the last one, synthesize the challenges and possibilities faced by the nursing education in transforming the teaching and learning in the new normal. So let's just look into the bigger context. Why we are having this right now. Why we are underscoring and we are highlighting the role of the nursing education, teaching and learning, the resiliency of our nursing students, the graduate students during COVID-19 pandemic. Because if the COVID-19 pandemic did not happen, then we are not highlighting this particular topic, right? The so-called resiliency. Why it's very important. So let's take a look at the COVID-19 situation in the whole wide world. Globally, so we have, of course, millions of cases actually, but we try to look in the Philippine context. This moment, we have more than 3.5 million cases. And then there is the one that received the booster dose or additional dose, 11 million. Try to compare that with the more than 100 million population of the Philippines. It's like 10% of the population only received the booster dose. So we cannot say, that our population is like, fully vaccinated. And then 10.4 persons boosted per 100. And then up to now, we have almost 60,000 deaths due to COVID-19 pandemic. So with this, the greater context that we are in right now, how does the population, or let's try to narrow it down, how does the nursing education, or how did the nursing education responded to the cascading effects or the rippling effect of this COVID-19 pandemic? So let's try to narrow it down to the nursing education. So we tried to look into from the statements of the president or the former president of the International Council of Nursing. So sabi niya, she stated that there will be no health systems without nurses. That's really true. The heart of the healthcare system are nurses. We try to claim that one. We try to assert our position in the healthcare system, that nurses, we are the heart. There are no healthcare system or health systems without nurses. And we produce nurses because we have the nursing education. We introduce our students in the nursing system through the nursing education. So we try to look back at this because without nursing students, we don't have nurses, right? So we need to make sure that we are producing nurses with quality, okay? Now, no country was prepared for the pandemic, despite us knowing for decades that the pandemic would come. We keep on telling a pandemic will hit us. Okay, we've been thinking that the SARS will do that, the MERS-CoV will do that, perhaps the anthrax will do that, but it did not happen. We were able to contain that and to mitigate the collateral damage. But the COVID-19 pandemic really is the one that we consider the greatest health crisis of the 21st century. Even if, the developed countries, they were, highly sophisticated healthcare systems still, they were not prepared, much more in the Philippines. Okay, no country had resilient health system and no country had put strategies in place. After 2 years, I hope we learned some lessons. And what are the lessons that we learned from this? Oh, take a look at this. Since most of us here, we've been working in the hospital, right? So were you able to experience that during the COVID-19 pandemic, you were thinking of the day where you're going to spend at least 2 hours off, but it seems that could be a far-fetched silver lining, right? So 12 hours, I don't think it's 12 hours. In the Philippines, it's more than that, 16 hours. A lot of canceled off, back-to-back duty. Imagine. We've been experiencing that kind of duty, nursing shortage staff. I stayed in PGH for more than 5 years. When I started, and the time that I resigned, the perpetual problem is always staffing, much more during the COVID-19 pandemic. Imagine our ward, the ideal staff for our ward should be 29 staffs. But I never experienced that one. We only had between 15 to 18 staff. So try to imagine the shortage before the COVID-19 pandemic. And until now, it's still the perpetual problem. So I don't think that this can be solved. Much more that the pandemic is still with us. Without breaks, all without protective equipment, and that was a disgrace. So how are we going to encourage our nursing students to face this kind of reality, and at the same time, it will not discourage or dishearten them that this is the kind of workplace that you are going to be with for your entire life? That would be our challenge. Some of you will become nurse educators, or you are nurse educators right now. How are we going to sustain and maintain our profession with this kind of realities on the ground? So therefore, this will be now the biggest question. How are we going to meet the new demands or the demands of the new normal? So how to provide student nurses with the best educational and clinical experiences that will prepare them for clinical and community nursing service. So let's try to understand our learners right now. I don't know if you're aware with this, but those people who were born during the time of COVID-19 pandemic, according to sociologists, we call them coronials. So therefore, if we have coronials, then we have also coronial nursing students and coronial nurses. This was a term coined by Monforte Royo and Foster in 2020 and was published in Nurse Education Today. So according to Monforte Royo and Foster, coronial nursing students are students who came out of age during the COVID-19 outbreak in a year that was so significant that marked the 200th anniversary of Florence Nightingale's birth, which had already been designated as the International Year of the Nurse and Midwife by the World Health Organization. So I think it was like, providential. Everything was providential during COVID-19 pandemic. Everything was highlighted. No event highlighted the greater works or the greatest work of a healthcare system during the COVID-19 pandemic than the COVID-19 pandemic itself. It coincided with the celebration of the International Year of Nurses and Midwives. And at the same time, this was the time where our nursing students are also adjusted. So we call them coronial nursing students. We already had our coronial nurses, right? The batch who graduated 2020, 2021, and now 2022, they will graduate and they will join the workforce. That's for the straight 3 years. We have our coronial nurses. And coronial nurses are those students, no nurses who accepted the challenge of caring for COVID-19 patient families and society, and who learned to care in the time of coronavirus. Now the question is, what kind of learners and what kind of nurses we're going to have for the next few years. Will they be competent? Will they be compassionate? Were we able to instill to them the values and professionalism that is required in order for them to render the quality nursing care? Right? That is the biggest challenge for us. Now, you are, of course, graduate students, and you are also a part of this in molding and guiding our future nurses, these coronial nurses that we have. They're very different, I'm telling you. In what sense? Yes, they are millennials. They are digital natives. They know how to use technology. But what if they were detached, or they don't have that, therapeutic caring hands that a nurse should possess in order to effect and to improve care, to improve the health of our clients? How about that one? So we try to look into our learners since they are coronials. Okay, so now let's take a look now and correlate this to the nursing education. So there are changes in instruction. It was mentioned a while ago by our Mr. Gamos, right? He mentioned that there were a lot of changes. So these are the impacts or the changes. Number one, we converted our traditional face-to-face learning into enriched virtual mode of instruction. So a lot of things are going on. We have to use this one, we have to use this one, we have to use modular, we have flexible, we have distance learning. We've been bombarded with a lot of things going on, just in order for us to continue learning. But the biggest question is, did we really learn from all of this? Because at the end of the day, learning is measured by our change of our behavior, change of our practice, deeper understanding of concepts. Or baka naman ang nangyari, because of online learning, the change that happened is we become adept with this technology by using it to cheat, by using it to plagiarize, something like that. By using it to put into our advantage that just turning on your camera and then you are not there actually. You are present virtually, but you are doing something else. And then we have now the hybrid. Since we have, of course, we are now in the level 1, so we can do half of our time, we do it face-to-face, half of our time, we do it online, or you teach face-to-face and you have your camera. Students who cannot attend your class physically, they can be there live. So we have hybrid. And it's quite challenging, I'm telling you. It's really quite challenging of doing all these things. Now, there's also a change in the assessment. That's my question. Did learning really happen? How can we assure that our assessment is authentic? Is it an authentic assessment during online instruction? Is our assessment, we are using this technology-driven assessment? So we have, of course, our Blackboard. We're using, of course, a lot of things to check plagiarism. We're using, of course, Respondos when we are going to have the exam, 2 cameras at the same time. But I'm telling you, nurses, if you have the will to cheat, you can do it. Whatever the kind of, what we call this, like technique we have to use to ensure that cheating will not happen, I don't think so. So for me, if you're going to ask me, I'm just going to appeal to the spirit of veracity, spirit of honesty and integrity, because that's what matters, right? So yun lang ang titingnan natin palagi. So it will really affect, okay, the teaching, the learning, the kind of learners that we're going to have. Okay, now, the overall response of the nursing education all over the world, according to Ago et al., in his seminal conceptual report in the International Council of Nursing, which was published in International Nursing Review, Ago et al. Mentioned that this was the response of those developing countries with nursing education. Number one, there was an abrupt change from traditional face-to-face to online classes in the Philippines. We have the CHED memo number 4. Okay. The contextual issue is this: when the solution do not fit all. Because the big question here is, we've been used to traditional face-to-face mode of instruction and learning. Now suddenly we just found out that, oh, the one that will solve all this problem, that learning can continue even without face-to-face, is the online learning. We look at it as the holy grail of continuing learning, continuing instruction, continuing teaching despite not having this face-to-face because there's COVID-19 pandemic. But the reality is no. It will not be the solution for all the issues and the challenges that we face during COVID-19 pandemic. But we try to look into it that when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the nursing education, it is actually a way of assessing how far are we when we talk about preparing ourselves as educators, school, in responding to a kind of catastrophe, right? Yeah, we know we are not prepared, but we are looking into something like how we responded with the COVID-19 pandemic in the field of nursing education. And we have to accept the fact that there is no solution that can be the solution for all the challenges and the problems that we are facing. So in other words, we try not to be a blind follower or a slave of a particular technology. So in other words, if we want to create solutions for the problems in the nursing education, we should not cajon ourselves in a particular solution, right? We try to address it case-to-case basis. Others, they will tell you, sir, we cannot do case-to-case basis because wala namang kaming pera tulad ng mga state universities. Kasi sa kanila, pag may state universities, local universities, it is not case-to-case basis during COVID-19 pandemic. It was cash-to-cash basis. Because you need money for that. Diba? That's the reality. Okay? So we need to look at this and to solve all issues with an eclectic perspective. Okay, next, the biggest challenge is, how about these nurses who are graduates of online classes? Are we going to let them graduate just to have an online experience? How do we mitigate the effects of not having an online, a face-to-face clinical experience? The challenges and attempts to mitigate the clinical placement crisis. It was a big challenge. It was a big challenge. Until now, it is the biggest challenge for our nursing graduates. Although, if you remember, the INACSL, okay, the International Nursing Association for Clinical Simulation Learning, they predicted, before the pandemic happened, they had a report already in 2013 and 2000 report that 50 to 70% of clinical nursing experience can be replaced by an online clinical simulation. But you have to remember, this kind of clinical simulation learning, this is a study conducted in the US. And we cannot compare our clinical learning simulation with the US in the Philippine context. That would be a travesty because they are an advanced and developed country. So the question is, if we try to migrate to a full online and we use our clinical simulation as our foundation in replacing this 50 to 75% of online, clinical learning, will it be effective? Will we get the same result? That would be the challenge. And then what is the impact of COVID-19 to our students that we will talk a little while? Okay, so these are the things. So we were able to publish actually studies about nursing students' resilience. And over again, even if the students came from Saudi, in the United States, in the Philippines, we were always able to find out that there are correlations from the demographics of our student. Let's say, for example, in the Philippines, we try to look into their academic resilience and their quality of life of our nursing students. So we were able to examine more than 900 students, okay, from our previous study, which was published in International Journal of Nursing Education Scholarship. We were able to find out that there's no actual direct relationship between quality of life and academic resilience, but it can be predicted by their year level and their age and their GPA. And what is starking result is this: their quality of life decreases as the year level increases. Why? Because when they were first year, no COVID-19 pandemic. But the fourth year, of course, experience, when they go into fourth year, their quality of life decreases. But the good thing is their resilience increases as their age increases and their year level increases. It's good news, right? And we were able also to find out that resilience is indeed a good mediating factor in mitigating the COVID-19 anxiety, and then also the quality of life as well as the academic stress. This will come out soon in the International Nursing Review. Hindi pa nga lang lumalabas yung paper, but it was already accepted. So baka naman mga May, yung study din namin ng the moderating effect of resilience between your COVID-19 anxiety of nursing students and their quality of life, and then yung tinatawag natin na academic stress and then quality of life, yung mediating effect ng resilience. And resilience indeed is a context that we can teach our students, that we can include in the way we teach in our curriculum in order for them, of course, to, to deal with all the stresses they're going to encounter later on. Okay? So, next. So, if we wanted really to address changes like this COVID-19 pandemic in the nursing education, the UNDP, okay, or the World Health or the World Bank, okay, and then by ASIHOC, presented this kind of, a paradigm that we can follow in order for us to adapt well in cases of crisis. So you have, of course, you prepare, you respond, you cope, you recover. You prepare again, respond, you cope, you recover. It is a cycle. It is a never-ending cycle because issues, challenges, they are all, of course, volatile. So we prepare, we respond, we cope, we recover. That's what we do. Okay, now, these are the challenges. It was mentioned a while ago. The challenges, technological. With the COVID-19 pandemic, hindi lahat ng estudyante merong internet. Hindi lahat ng estudyante merong laptop. Hindi lahat ng estudyante merong ganito. The school, hindi lahat ng school merong LMS na responsive. You have your LMS but you seldom use it. Right? These were the challenges. Are the students adept in using this kind of technology? Next challenges. When you do your online class, how far or how do you know that your students are engaged? Just like now. How will I know that you are engaged with me? Right? I cannot know that unless I'm with you face to face. Even when we are face to face, I can still gauge your student engagement because engagement is manifested in a multifactorial way. So that could be the big challenge. Students, all of them, they will always, a large proportion of nursing students, they say they are demotivated. That's the reason why their quality of life decreases when they reach level 4. Demotivated. Because of everything that's happening. Okay? They will join the workforce. They will take care of COVID-19 patients. They will be exposed to something like this. There's a lot of stress going on. And then, the online learning burnout, which is very true. Okay? So, I know you were bored out already, right? Burnout is manifested by you just turn it on, you're doing anything, you're lying down, you're listening to music, you're watching your Facebook right now, you're checking your Twitter right now, you're messaging someone right now. That could be a sign of online learning burnout. And you have to embrace that one because if you don't know that you're burnt out, then you cannot stop, you cannot recharge, refuel, you cannot re-energize because you don't know you burn out already. So you take a look at this. Are you burnt out? Am I easily irritated? Yes. Do I lack concentration? Yes. Because right now, few minutes, 5 minutes pa lang, nag-check ka na ng phone mo, di ba? So, that could be an online burnout, okay? Okay, if you are check with that, my advice to you, dear, is you need to have a break. You really need to have a break. Okay? So, it is not a sin to have a break. You owe that to yourself. Okay? So now, what are the possibilities in order to address the ongoing teaching and learning among our students? So number one, we need to have an advanced credentialing and education. That's what you're doing right now. You wanted really to understand not only your learners, but you wanted to understand yourself as a future educator, as a future nurse leader, because there's no better way of understanding your clients, your student, your patient than understanding yourself first. You have to do that. Okay, so you have to advance your education because with higher education, there is a trajectory, a positive correlation. It should be like this. The higher your education is, the wider your sense of understanding. Okay, the more critical you are. It should be like that. Okay? Wala akong binanggit na pag ikaw ay naging graduate ng PhD or MA, the more na naging magaling ka sa grammar at English. Probably, yes. Pero what we're trying to look here is how far did you understand the context? How critical you are? How understanding you are? How compassionate you are? Okay? So it should be like that. So credentialing, so you join organizations, okay? You attend some other classes to improve your practice. That's advanced credentialing and education. It will not only benefit you, but it will also benefit the way you think, the way you act, and the way you do your practice. And it will cascade down to your students and to your, of course, colleagues in the area. Because it will show. Okay, next. We have to be adept in virtual learning. Take note of that. Once the pandemic is over, we're praying. The pandemic will be over. I'm going to stop with all this online learning, all these virtual classes and so on. It will not. Sorry to burst the bubble. It will not. Okay, we will do hybrid when the pandemic ends. Okay, I've been thinking like this now. For me as a professor, probably if the pandemic is over, there will be courses that will be offered in the nursing program and it will be offered in online class. I will really tell my dean, ma'am, can you just give me the online classes, please? Because for this term, I wanted to go to the province so that I can have my me time and then my time will be flexible. It will be like that, of course. So those things or clinical skills that we can address to online clinical simulation, we can do that. But there will be, of course, exposure face-to-face that we can also address. So we try to look at that, and that will be the future of the nursing program, the nursing curriculum. Next, clinical simulation in nursing. We have to be adept with this. We cannot say, no, I'm not going to do that one. Clinical simulation in nursing. No. This will be a thing. Before, it is an untapped resource, but now it is the in. We should know how to manipulate simulators. In fact, my former group, okay, they examined YouTube videos used by nursing students, Filipino nursing students, low-cost simulators, household items that they used during their online clinical simulation. And right now, it will be published in Journal of Advanced Nursing. Okay? So makikita natin doon kung anong ginagamit ng mga nursing students natin that it's viable. They were able to deliver the skill. They were able to learn by using household simulators, low-cost one, available items in their own houses. Okay? Next, evidence-based practice. I also emphasize this one because knowledge, practices, they all change from time to time. So we need to make sure that at some point, why we keep on doing this one? We need to challenge the holy cow. Why it's always like this? Diba? Bakit palagi ako mag-duty ng 6 to 2? Tinanong agad, no? But 6 to 2 ay pagod na pagod ako magising ng 5 a.m. Okay? Pwede naman siguro ng 8 to 4. So why not try to look into this one? Or pwede naman siguro 12 hours a week, 4 days. Okay? I mean like 12 hours a day, 4 days a week na duty. Kaso lang malaking controversial yan sa Pilipinas because talagang sa labor code natin, 8 hours lang yung work natin. Pag more than 8 hours, you need to give, of course, your overtime pay. Kaya medyo we need really to look into our labor laws. Diba? So kaya hindi yan pinapatupad kasi companies will not like that. Oh, 12 hours na duty, 4 times a week na nga. Tapos yung the last 3 hours or the last 4 hours, overtime pay. Papayag kaya? You think? We have here, of course, nurses working in the private hospital. Do you think they will allow that to happen? Diba? So we need more evidence, okay, to support our claim and to position ourselves as nurses. Okay? Resource-based view approach. This comes in handy, particularly during COVID-19 pandemic. What I'm trying to tell you, nurses, is that during the COVID-19 pandemic, remember, we keep on complaining we don't have like this. in the nursing education in the hospital. We cannot do like this because we don't have like this. I cannot do that. We don't have that kind of resource. But behind that one, there are other institutions who are able to carry on, to transcend with all these difficulties because they were not looking for those things that they don't have. Did you get it? They took advantage of what they have in order to continue. That's what we call resource-based view approach. So here comes now your innovation. Here comes now your proper adapting and adapting to the particular situation. Say, for example, you have your LMS. It was, not used. But now, because of COVID-19 pandemic, we try, of course, to organize, to create a seminar for students or teachers in order for them to be adept with this LMS. That's resource-based view approach. We cannot keep on looking for something that we do not have. Diba? Nung kapanahonan ng COVID-19 pandemic, nagkaubusan ng face shield. So nung ginamit natin, yung mga clear na folder, diba? That's resource-based. And nurses are very, very innovative. Wala tayong apron, hindi naman pwedeng hindi mo alagaan yung pasyente mo. So meron tayong mga plastic, we made that as an apron. Diba? Ngayon, it was not established in the literature in the Philippines if yung gumamit ba na mga resource-based materials as protective equipment is less effective in preventing COVID-19 transmission than the standard one. Do we have a study conducted with that? No. That's the gap in the literature. Right? Because if there is no big difference, then we can continue using all these things. Right? We keep on looking out. Sa US, tinigil na nila ang mask, tinigil na ang face shield kasi wala naman daw blah, 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 blah. But in our local context, we don't have, of course, a scientific evidence for that. Right? So try to look into your source-based approach. And I know we are very good at this. Not only in the hospital, but you as educators in your own classroom, be it virtual or be it the traditional face-to-face classroom. And then, of course, we try now to insert these resiliency skills. We try to teach our students how they can bounce back, how they can adapt well, how they can use their experience to keep them more stronger, how they will learn how to approach these problems, to create solutions out from the lessons they have learned from their experience. That's resiliency. Not giving up, just slowing down, looking into the problem, giving solutions. If the solution A will not work, then we have solution B. Oh, solution B will not give you the full effect. We can tweak it a little bit, then we have the solution C until you get the full effect. That's resilience. If you are not here right now, the biggest answer to your question, if you are resilient or not, if you are here right now in this virtual in this virtual or in this webinar, then you already answered the question. You are resilient. You've been able to carry on. You've been able to bounce back. You've been able to smile right now. Grabe nun, no? 16 hours na nag-duty, nag-off ka na isang araw, pagbalik mo, ikaw pa rin ang ka-endorse mo pa rin siya. Kayo lang nag-endorsement. Kailan ba ito matatapos? Di ba yung ganon? That was one of my greatest regrets during COVID-19 pandemic kasi naramdaman ko talaga na parang hindi ako nakatulong kasi umalis ako. Okay, yun yung greatest regret ko. Kaya yung pinagagawa ko noon, just to appease myself with this guilt feeling is, nagpadala ako ng snacks sa kanila, nagpadala ako ng mga gloves, mask, gown, because that's the only way that I think I can, mitigate the guilt feelings that I have. Kasi kasama ako sa kanilang group chat eh. At every time na tumutunog ang group chat, nakikita ko siya. Pati na rin yung kasamahan naming nagpunta na ng UK, ganon, kasi nasa group chat pa rin, nagtulong-tulong din kami. Siyempre sila, mas matindi yung naranasan nila doon. Pero yun, kaya nga, lumutang talaga yung bayanihan nating mga Pilipino during this time. And I think the bayanihan spirit is the product of our, spirit of resiliency as Filipinos. And that's where we get it. And then, yun ang ituturo natin sa mga colonial nurses natin. Kasi if we cannot teach them how to be resilient, then who will carry on our profession? And it will start, of course, the way how we teach them, the way how they learn. So in other words, when you teach them, when you give them activities, you have to give them the orientation that this particular activity that I'm giving you will also test your resilience. In what way? Pag nagbigay ka ng activity sa kanila, you have to tell them these are the rubrics. Okay? Ito po yung tinatawag nating na-hit po natin yung resiliency kasi unang-una, binigyan ka ng time, you were able to submit it on time, resilient po. So pag hindi po ako nakasubmit ng on time, hindi na ako resilient, hindi po. Resilient ka pag maaga kang nagsabi sa professor mo, Sir, ma'am, nag-email ka, marami po kasi kaming activities, pwede po bang extend yung ganito kasi pwedeng ganito. Resilient pa rin. Because the way you communicate with your professor and the way you are telling your situation, because you have a situation like this, and you, of course, had that compromise that you will submit this particular output, resilient. Because you adapted with the situation. You bounce back. Diba? You're flexible. So that's how we teach our students resiliency skill. It's just up to us teachers to give them, not the idea, but to tell them that you are resilient in this way. To enlighten them, yung ginagawa mo, those are things that you do to enhance your resiliency skills. Okay? So that's it. Now, let's take a look at the implications of nursing education, practice, and policy. So number one, in the education, if we wanted to develop resiliency skill, we need to revise our curriculum. And they are going to tell me, again, sir, yes, again. It will not stop. Because if the curriculum will not be changed, then that's the end. That's the abomination of our profession. We need to revise it. Remember your resource-based view approach, your evidence-based, it changes from time to time. Practice will improve and sustain the student nurses' competencies. We try to look and we try to forage. Okay, what are these ins and what are these outs? What are the things that we can combine together to have this eclectic approach? Policy, we need, of course, to look back into our existing policies, that it should be responsive. Okay, but it's impossible, of course, that our policies will be foolproof. It's impossible. We need to embrace the fact that there are no policies that is foolproof. Okay, so we try to look into that. Okay, and of course, we try to make our policies more responsive. So again, I take a look back into the statement from 140 Roy and Foster. It is now the responsibility of nurse educators and of health systems as a whole to follow up these colonial nurses so as to understand the impact of their experiences. Have in the short, medium, and long term, both as regards to negative effects and in terms of personal and professional development. Will they be better nurses or it is too soon to say? Okay, so with that, we need to have continuous monitoring. Thank you very much for your time, nurses. And I hope I was able to, to explain the topic that was assigned to me. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Right, so Dr. Daniel, once again, sobrang thank you, and sobrang thank you for your wonderful presentation. So guys, we have our open forum, so kindly open your mic if you have questions regarding the said topic for Mr. Daniel Joseph Berdida. Anyone? Guys, you can open your mic if you have questions. Questions, guys, you may open your mic, as this webinar is an interactive one. Let me see. Right.
I think if I may, Sir Gamos.
Yes.
I will just read a question here from Angelo.
Yeah, right.
Po, I have a question po. As a clinical instructor, do you think the students who graduated in the batch 2020-2021 has enough knowledge, clinical eye, and clinical practice as they have their fourth year college as an online setup? We usually have the clinical duties more than the class in this college year. Yeah, the INP, I agree with you. My answer is yes and no. In other words, we are in the middle. The only one that can tell us about that one is when they are at the practice, when they are practicing. And it's not a matter if they have enough knowledge, enough clinical experience. It's not a question right now. The question is how our nurses in the field mentored them, filled the spaces that they were not able to have. That's the question now. It's not the question because they are victims. We are victims. We cannot put the blame. Ay, kulang ka sa experience. And I just hope, nurses, please, wala po tayong maririnig na ganito. Kasi online yan, kaya hindi yan masyadong magaling. Kasi pag may narinig ako ng ganyan, automatic sasagutin ko, anong naitulong mo? Anong tinulong mo sa mga nurses natin? Gusto mo bang may nurses pa tayo or gusto mong iwanan na nila tayong lahat? Sinong mahihirapan ngayon sa area? Ikaw din. Taray mo eh. This is what I'm teaching my nurses from different hospitals. Gusto mo bang rapid turnover? Gusto mo bang maloka? Every 1 month, iba yung kasama mong nurse, bagong titrain mo. We cannot pinpoint our fingers. Okay, kulang ka ng ganito. Yes, there is no doubt talaga. We try also to look back during the times that we graduate and during the times that we first set in as a nurse in the hospital. Did we feel adequate? Did we feel confident or competent? I don't think so. Kasi ako nang pumasok ako sa imagine nurses, nag-graduate ako 2006. Nagturo sa review center. Bumalik ako sa hospital 2015. 9 years. Had it not have been with the help of my fellow nurses who were so patient with me, who mentored me well, hindi ko makakayanan yung Ward 9 ng PGH nurses. And I'm sure if Ma'am Balyena is here, nagkita po kami kasi nag-CI siya sa mga UPCN at nandun ako nung time niya. Okay? Nandun po siya. Masasabi niya na.
Hi!
Hi, Ma'am!
Hi, good to
Nice to
see
see you
you!
again po. Okay.
ma'am.
Kung hindi po dahil sa mga nurses na ito na tumulong po sa akin, at yun po yung giving back ko. Ganun dapat ang attitude natin palagi sa ating mga nurses. Hindi pwedeng i-discourage natin sila dahil kulang sila. Kasi at some point, kulang talaga. We cannot address all. Kaya nga meron tayong orientation program, training program, doon po papasok. We try to encourage them. We try to embrace them. Dito kayo, huwag na kayong umalis. Or kung aalis man kayo, we will teach you how to be the best Filipino nurses so that paglabas nila ng bansang Pilipinas, only good words ang maririnig natin. Kasi ganun ang cycle natin eh. Alam nyo, kung hindi tayo nagme-mentor ng mga new nurses sa area, walang patutunguhan yung nursing profession. Kaya naman, magagaling tayo kasi I think, yes, may mga bullying at incivility, hindi naman siguro yan mawawala sa area. Pero we try to mitigate it now. This is the best time more than ever na mas maging compassionate tayo sa ating mga nurses. Kasi biktima po tayong lahat. Okay? Ng COVID-19 pandemic. So please, yun po yung gagawin natin sa area. Hi, ma'am!
Hi, good to see you after...
Good to see you po, ma'am. Grabe, parang bumata lalo si ma'am, oh. Akala ko talaga, ma'am, oh.
Last duty ko, 2019. Wala
Yes,
na.
ma'am.
Hindi
I
na
still
ako
remember, and
nakabalik.
actually, Ma'am Balyena was also encouraging me to. In fact, si Ma'am Balyena pa kumuha ng CV.
Oh.
Kaso nung time na yun, hindi pa ako pinayagang umalis. Tapos hindi pa rin kailangan ng UPC ng time na yun ng mga bagong CI. So,
Wala na, close na. Napalitan na ako. I'm no longer with them.
Oh.
Oo.
Pero mas maganda naman ang napuntahan mo ngayon, ma'am.
Hi, usap tayo.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. May mga tanong ba yung mga students natin, participants?
Alright. By the way, Doc Daniel, thank you so much for that spectacular answer. Guys, students, and our colleagues, do you have any more questions po kay Doc Daniel? Wala na atang question. Yes. Do you have any more questions? Guys, can you unmute your mic or kindly type your questions in the chat box below? Wala ata. So,
Doc Borromeo is raising his hand.
Yeah, we would like to honor the presence of our advisor, Dr. Borromeo. Good afternoon to Doc. Do you have a question po?
Yeah, first I would like to congratulate our speaker, Dr. Daniel. And I saw Dr. Balyena earlier. No? Good morning, Madam. And My question
Good
basically,
afternoon.
good afternoon na pala, sorry. My question is about the symbiotic relationship of education and then practice, no? Especially the nursing service. You mentioned a lot of things that you have done in the education in terms of how you can capacitate the skill sets regardless of the limitations you have, especially the face-to-face, which is something really has proven to be effective. No, comparing the skill sets of those who have experienced the usual simulators in the States and the experiences of nurses, no, who graduated in the Philippines. Just last week, no, I received a friend from New York, and he's a seasoned ICU nurse in Montefiore, and he was really expressing how good Filipino nurses are who've been exposed in the clinical setup. Now, compared to an American nurse who just came in and with experience with only simulators as their experience. And I saw a very good simulator program in St. Joseph in Arizona. And but just the same, it was quite revealing that even if we are compromising the safety of our patients by having several student nurses around, but just the same, the mentoring strategies and coaching is really something that capacitated our nurses around the world. Now, though you had several initiatives, I'm sure of that, you know, in different universities. But again, you have to look at how you can look at establishing symbiotic relationship with the nursing service. Was that something in the bucket list? I guess because upon listening to you, it was merely an initiative or initiatives done by the university, but never heard anything about how you manage to work with the nursing service. I agree with your sentiments earlier that it is really very hard to accept that there are nurses, which I fully agree that there are nurses in the industry that somehow discriminates those who have less exposure, no? So, but I managed to mitigate it, no, prior to the entry of our students from St. Paul and Manila doctors, that they have to help them more. That's the reason why we designed, no, we designed the program exclusively for them, just to mitigate and fill up the gaps. I do not know if there are any initiative from ADPC and to look at how we can address or fill in the gaps of these so-called limitations or gaps of the nurses entering in with the new era right now. So I guess that's basically my question, Doc. Dan.
So
have you, yeah, I was referring if you have done something that would redesign the program in education, aligned to what the practice is doing or preparing for the coming of the limited face-to-face.
Yeah, I understand, sir. Doc, to answer your question, if I have designed a program for this particular situation, the answer is no. But the College of Nursing, which I am in right now, we tailor fit our transition into this face-to-face. As early as 2021, actually, because that was November, we're already anticipating that our students will do first to fourth year to go face-to-face. So what we do to really address this gap as they are going to graduate, and some of them, of course, had only handful experience, taking care of patient. What we do is that they will have duty. We have our skills enhancement program. So we will have them duty in our hospital simulation. and then they will be also exposed in the hospital area. But again, we need to follow health protocols. So they're only allowed to have duty or exposure in the non-COVID ward. The big challenge here is when we were planning actually the hospital base or our hospital base, you know it already, there is of course a thorough meeting with that. So all the nurses in the hospital, they were all informed that one-on-one shadowing will happen. That's what we do right now. So the big challenge is, I am the CI. I will carry 12 students. I will only place per ward 2 to 3 students. So if I have 12 students, I will rotate in 5 clinical areas. Imagine, sir. Imagine the leg fatigue. And then the good thing is the nurses are very accommodating. We really appreciate that one. And we cannot hear them like, oh, you did not experience, no, come here, you do like this, you come follow me. So they are there. The big issue I think that I'm looking is I cannot really assess the actual that they do the procedure because I was not there. Kasi at some point, pagpunta ko, nasa loob na sila ng room, 2-3 lang pwedeng pumasok sa room ng patient. So kung ako yung nahuli, ako yung nasa labas. So at some point, pag naabutan ko ang estudyante na magka-catheter, I will tell the staff nurse, ma'am, sige kami na lang po. That's what we do. And we followed kasi that that we call it the triadic mentoring is effective than the dyadic one. So we do that. One staff nurse, 2 student nurses. Okay, something like that. So that's what we do. And then also, we try to make sure that our students will, since this is the intensive nurse practicum, they are rotated in medical surgical, regardless now of the, what we call this, specialization. So there will be med surg, there will be pedia, there will be OB. And then we also have we set up our community skills enhancement simulation. So we have that one. And then we also have the skills enhancement program in the skills laboratory. And we also have a dedicated hospital simulation, the new building, the 6th floor with that, with all the amenities, cardiac mon, mechanical ventilator, everything was there actually. So that's what we're doing right now. And we got positive results from our students. Qualitative for now. We don't have yet the quantitative one, but we will have that one at the end of the term, I think. So for now, that's it. And then you are correct, Doc, when I'm having my lecture or my webinar with hospitals like Jose Reyes, I always tell them that the best thing to keep your nurses is to do the correct way of mentoring them. So dapat po hindi nga makarinig ng ganun po. Tama po kayo. That's the best way actually. Kasi kawawa naman po yung mga nurse. And ito mga millennials po sila. Yung attitude po nila is, if they don't like it, they will really leave. Ganun po yung attitude nila. And I think hindi naman yun bad attitude kasi that's their culture. So hindi natin pwedeng alisin yon. Ang pwede nating i-capitalize when they trust you. When millennials trust you, they will never leave. So we take advantage of that culture also. So I think really reciprocity should also always be the culture regardless of the situation. So reciprocity should always be there. Parang feminist po yung view natin palagi. Na parang palaging may reciprocity na mangyayari. I learn from you, you learn from me. I will value what you're saying, you will also value what I'm saying, something like that. So thank you for putting that forward, Doc Borromeo, the context of reciprocity in our practice.
Yeah, actually just siguro an addition, no, Dr. Dan. I just want to share to you how we managed to design the nurse residency program in anticipation for the opening of the limited face-to-face. No? So we had designed our nurse residency program through our Formula One. No, that's a program that we've been doing seamlessly with Manila Doctors College of Nursing, together with the Manila Doctors Hospital. And we are also sharing the same Formula One with our partner, St. Paul University, with their students, and they have shared also, their nurse residency, and we tried looking at how we can embed the two, and we've been doing and started the Formula One with their nurse residency program. So it's really working, very, very good with both institutions. So at the national level, just would like to look at how we can also partner with the ADPCN. Although I have started it when I was president of ANSAP to work symbiotically with ADPCN. I do not know at what level they are now in terms of the collaboration. Yeah. So very good. Thank you, Dr. Dan.
I'm aware of that nurse residency training of yours in St. Luke's because I believe that last year we had a tie-up with a research program, UST, and then St. Luke's. Some of your nurses there in the training, I think they presented that one. So that was the research actually. So, wow, they have this kind, and it's a very good program. So I hope it could be a benchmark for other hospitals.
Sure. Thank you.
And then we have a question here. Actually, I think this is the last question. My question is, how can nursing students improve the skills and knowledge? Well, the basic answer to that is they need to take the role of the student. So what is the role of the student? You need to study, you need to listen, you need to ask questions, you need to be critical, okay, and you need to practice, and study. That's the only way you can really improve your knowledge and skills. Okay, because if you're just accepting all these things and you are not practicing it, you are not doing your research, you are not reading, of course, literature, you are not watching YouTube videos for skills, I think you will not and will never improve your skill or your knowledge. So that's the only way you can do to improve your knowledge and your skill. Sir?
Right. Mr. Harry Marquez, did Doc Bernida answer your concern?
Yes, thank you for.
That's good. Wow. Thank you so much for your wonderful question, Mr. Harry Marquez. And also, a wonderful and knowledgeable question. Sobrang galing, Doc Rudy Borromeo po. Sobrang thank you po for inspiring us to proceed with this webinar. So, do you have more concerns, guys? Questions? So, for our last question, before I proceed with the awarding of certificates? None. All right. So, there you have it, guys. So, Doc Daniel Verdidas, of course, your part of this webinar won't end if we don't have the awarding of certificates. So on behalf of Concordia College Manila, certificate of appreciation awarded to none other than Dr. Daniel Joseph E. Bernida, MAN RN, in recognition of his valuable contribution as a resource speaker during the webinar with the theme, of course, Resiliency and Possibilities in the New Era of Teaching and Learning via Zoom. Given on this day, 2nd day of April in the year 2022. Of course, thank you so much also to our team leader, Ms. Melissa Ann Prieto Ignacio, and of course, none other than our advisor, Dr. Rodolfo C. Borromeo, faculty principals and teaching strategies, and of course, our dean, none other than Dr. Rosalina A. Kaubic, and she's also the Vice President for Academic Affairs. So once again, Doc Daniel Verdida, thank you so much, and we believe para po ito sa inyo, Sir Daniel. And Doc Daniel, to end your talk on this webinar, what's your last message to all the participants and to us as well?
Ayan, ipagbunyi po at ipagpatuloy yung nasimulan po ninyo kasi kayo po yung kinabukasan ng nursing profession sa Pilipinas at sa buong mundo. So kung nahihirapan man, huwag titigil, mag-slow down lang po, tuloy-tuloy, matatapos po kayo at magiging maalwan po ang kinabukasan ninyo at kinabukasan ng nursing profession natin. So maraming salamat po sa pag-imbita sa akin. It's always a pleasure talking to students. And again, thank you, Mike. Pag nag-uusap kami ni Mr. Agare, hi. So
Hello,
marami kami
Dr. Berdida. Thank you for
Dr.
the informative lecture and for the encouragement for all of our students. Thank you so much. Magkita na tayo.
Thank you. Ayan, marami kaming naranasan yan ni
Yes.
Doc Agari. So, tingnan mo, nung naghiwalay kami, lalo kaming nag-blossom. Okay? So, imagine nyo na lang yan. Okay? So, si Mike, nung nakita ko, natapos niya yung doctorate degree, natulala ako. Sabi ko, oh my God! Okay, so I have to move forward. Parang ganon. So, in one, alam niya yan, kasi nagbibisita yan palagi si Doc Mike, sinasabi ko sa inyo, si Dr. Agari, he never forgets to give back. Palagi po siya sa PGH. Okay, ganun po siya ka bukas palad. Okay? So kaya naman blessed na blessed niyan. Sige po, thank you very much. Thank you very much po. Bye po.
Thank
Ingat
you,
po kayo lahat.
Dr. Daniel and Doc Agari. Thank you so much for being an inspiration to all of us. Thank you so much po. So, guys, let me hand over the next speaker to one of our MCs, Mr. Mark Joseph Tibayan. Sir Mark, are you still on the line?
Thank you so much, Mr. Joshua.
Right.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm Mark Joseph Tibayan, MSN student of Concordia College, Manila Graduate School, and one of the MCs for today's webinar. I'm also excited to introduce our next guest speaker for today. So, why am I excited? It's because her topic is very relevant to all of us. She'll give us a talk about skyrocketing online platform, effective or not. But before that, just a brief background on our resource speaker. So she has been in the nursing profession for more than 20 years. Wow. So she spent her years in nursing education as a faculty member and as a clinical instructor. As a faculty member, she handled the following courses, just like child health nursing or pediatric nursing, professional adjustment, leadership and management, research, maternal health nursing, and some concepts in medical nursing. In graduate school, she handled courses in Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing Education and Master of Arts in Nursing programs. Moreover, as a clinical instructor, she underwent clinical orientations in government and private institutions. She was assigned and handled nursing students in the following areas such as newborn care or nursery, pediatric ward, medical surgical ward, emergency area, and the delivery room, and also the essential intrapartum and newborn care. She also experienced being in the administrative position, specifically as a dean of the nursing school for 12 years. She became involved in research works and accreditation of the nursing program and institutional programs. She is a certified trained lead auditor of TRUE Brainland and a trained accreditor of PACU-COA. Furthermore, she was a part of a former SHED Regional Quality Assessment Team of Region 3. For professional organizational involvement, she was a former president of Association of Deans of Philippine Colleges of Nursing, NCR chapter, from 2014 to 2016. And a former treasurer of the ADPCN National Organization. Likewise, a lifetime member of the Philippine Nurses Association. For her educational profile, she obtained the degree in Doctor of Education in 2008. Moreover, she earned her degree in Master of Arts in Nursing in 1996 and finished Bachelor of Science in Nursing in 1991. Without further ado, let's give our speaker a round of virtual applause, Dr. Narisha D. Saludo Balen.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Ma'am. Yes po, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. First, thank you so much for the kind introduction, Sir Mark. No, thank you. Masyadong naging mahaba yung litanya ng profile ko. Ayan. Pero thank you so much. And good afternoon to all of you, especially to my good friend, Dr. Rudy Moraneo. Good to see you, Doc. Dito tayo nakita ngayon sa Concordia. Usually, din tayo nakikita sa St. Paul. Another thing is, of course, sa mga nanditong estudyante, magandang hapon po sa inyo. So, the topic that was assigned to me was skyrocketing online platform, effective or not. So at first I had to think, how will I present this? No? How will I present this topic to all of you? Siguro naisip ko, I would focus on my experience on the delivery, no, or using the platform, the online platform. And I decided to focus on my experiences. No? Wala akong masyadong literature on this because this is really my own experiences in using the online platform. So here, the learning outcomes at the end of the presentation, the student will be able to understand the use of online platforms, gain insights from the shared experiences in the use of online platforms. So yun ang pinaka-importante. And then, this is as a disclaimer, since I was formally connected with the University of the Philippines, Manila, so my presentation is based on what I experienced during the time that I was with them. So yun ang aking no? So gagamitin ko lang but not all kasi nga, syempre, hindi na ako connected sa kanila. So what is an online platform and online learning platform? Then my personal use of online platform transitioned from face-to-face classes to online or virtual classes during pandemic. Use of online platform during pandemic and challenges in using online platform during pandemic. So what is the online platform? A range of services available on the internet. Marketplaces, no, search engines, social media, creative content, outlets, app stores, no, communication services, payment systems, services comprising the so-called collaborative or gig economy. So masyado siyang broad, hindi ba, no, yung online platform. So another is digital services. So facilitates interaction between two or more distinct but interdependent sets of users, whether firms or individuals who interact with the service via the internet. So ito, nagagamit na to, no? Ngayon, especially right now, what we are doing. Now, what is online learning platform? An integrated set of interactive online services that provide trainers, learners, and others involved in education with information, tools, and resources to support and enhance education, delivery, and management. Take note of integrated set of interactive online services. Another thing, it is a web space or portal for educational content and resources that offers a student everything they need in one place. No? Lectures, resources, opportunities to meet and chat with other students, and more. So this is what is online learning platform. It is also an excellent way for the student and the teacher to monitor student progress. Now, I'd like to share with you a study conducted by my former students in 2015. Kasi prior to pandemic, diba, we are already using online platform. Kaya siguro itong study na to, I think kasi 2015 nila natapos, pero 2014 when they started the study, so the level of engagement on learning management system. So by that time, so prior to pandemia, no, there was already the use of learning management system in higher education institutions. Kaya nga lang, hindi ganon siya talagang binigyan ng pansin. Okay? And among students and their academic performance. So as a result, no, shows that students are highly engaged in assignment feature based on the set criteria. Lecture is next to the highest followed by the class requirement. So noong pa man, ginagamit na natin talaga siya, no? So itong result na to, I cannot generalize this because this is within my former institution, ano? So in 2015. So another thing is the student found it beneficial, which may be brought by its convenience. And then whenever the student is, or he or she can easily submit it in just a snap of a finger without wasting too much time looking for his or her professor. So take note that nagamit na siya. Kaya tinatanong natin, effective ba siya o hindi? Or are we really, kumbaga sabihin natin from the word, familiar ba talaga tayo, or we are already utilizing the learning management system even before the pandemic? Yun. So this is, the study was conducted by Briones and Capacita in 2015. So I'd like to share with you my own experience na to. So my personal use of online platform prior to pandemic. I am not promoting, another disclaimer here, I'm not promoting this platform, but I'm sharing with you what I use. No? In 2016, I used this platform in the graduate school. Kasi this was introduced by the former Vice President for Academic Service. And then sabi niya, para sa akin, friendly to. So what I did, I navigated it. So talagang pinag-aralan ko siya para magamit ko. This is just a sample, but just a quick presentation on how I use this. Kasi sa graduates ko to ginamit, at hindi ko to ginamit sa undergrad ng panahon na yon. So this is my course. No, ito yung aking profile. You can check on it. Pakita niyo picture pare-parehas. Ano? Kahit din sa picture ko kanina. So nakikita dito yung classes ko at ito yung sample ng students ko. No? Tinanggal ko lang muna. Pero when you check my name sa Edmodo, makikita niyo yan. Wala na. So I use this, no, because I find it easy, friendly, and at the same time, similar siya sa Facebook. Yun yung nagustuhan ko dito. No? Similar siya sa Facebook na you can easily navigate. No? Tapos pwede ka mag-post ng mga announcements mo. No? Even the description of the course. No? Description of the course. Tapos yung mga schedule of lectures plus the requirements. No? Pwede ko. Pero I don't require my students to submit their output here because anybody can read the submitted requirement. So ang ginagawa ko naman doon, ginagamit ko yung email, no? So doon ko pinasasubmit yung requirements ko. Another thing, nakita ko dito, no, yung use ng examination, even the quizzes. Kasi after you administer the quiz, basta i-program mo lang siya, the students can take the exam, no? Basta importante na program mo siya. And then on that particular day, mag-a-appear yan sa platform o dun sa Edmodo nila, no, yung quiz schedule, even the examination. So, pero gagawa ka lang, mag-e-encode ka lang. Ang kagandahan naman nito, nagamit ko siya na I can easily analyze kung saan ba mahina ang estudyante ko kasi meron na rin siyang result ng item analysis. So yun yun. But at that time, I was already aware of the Google Classroom kasi si Gmail on Google, marami siyang apps, no, na pwede mo gamitin. Yun nga lang, hindi mo pa talaga na-explore. So, kasi nga, naka-face-to-face pa tayo, lalo na sa undergrad. So again, ano, I use this for my students in the graduate school. But however, in 2020, I had a chance to use this for the undergrad. No? Para doon lang kami mag-communicate. At the same time, ang ano ko lang, madali kasi nakikita agad, no, na-access agad ng estudyante. Yan. So tingnan nyo yung example ko ng platform na ginamit ko. Another is, yun nga lang, ay ano ko lang, kumbaga itong platform na to, itong type ng online classes ko, hindi ko siya talaga totally magamit kasi una, nung panahon na ginamit ko siya, may limitations, hindi ka makapag-upload ng videos kasi madadownload siya. Plus yung security reason na nakikita ng lahat. Kasi yung aking kaibigan na nasa US, nung in-explore niya itong Edmodo, nakita niya yung aking course, yung klase ko. So yan. Now, transition from face-to-face classes to online during pandemic. Again, I am showing to you I'm presenting to you my own experience. So from the classroom. I remember in 2020, alam niyo po, my last rotation was in the community setting. So sa school kami. Tapos we are already aware of this particular virus, pero parang ordinary lang no? Parang that particular day and time, wala lang, parang hindi siya makaka-apekto ba sa klase. So on the moving towards the second week, kasi supposed to be, I will have my clinical duty na sa health center. So it turned out, nagkaroon na ng suspension of classes sa Manila. Diba? Second week yun Kasi naalala ko, ang last day ng reporting ko sa office was March 10, 2020. So, sabi ko, we were thinking naman, ako personally, baka short period of time lang ito. But unfortunately, ito na yon. That was the beginning of the shifting from face-to-face classes to online classes. Kasi yung area ko, maternal and child. So, duty ako sa health center supposed to be. Pero, our course coordinator called for a meeting after the suspension of the classes because we were told na to revise our clinical focus and come up with at least an approach where we will use na yung online, yung sabi nga yung meeting na with the students ay online lang. At that time, hindi pa namin pinag-uusapan si Zoom. Parang may isa pa kaming ginagamit. Parang similar to Google Meet, pero parang mas naging friendly si Zoom. Pero kami, we are going to meet our students via Messenger. So kami video conference. So yun ang aming So imagine niyo, we need to shift our clinical focus from the face-to-face, yung actual, into a virtual clinical duty. So that was second week, So we are preparing kasi sabi namin, baka lang yan, baka sandali lang, It turned out on the third week, they changed, the classes, nagkaroon na ng suspension of classes, ng online classes, There was a memo came out na we need to stop we need to suspend na yung online classes namin. So what will happen after that? So ito na, yung transitioning. So the means of communication at that time, siyempre pahinga tayo, di ba? March, April, May. Pero nung May, unti-unting bumababa na, from ECQ, naging MECQ, tapos pumasok ang June, nag-GCQ. So yung means of communication is via email, SMS, Facebook, gamit ang Facebook then the messenger, especially sa messenger, and siyempre yung Zoom, di ba? Pero pa kasing isa hindi ko maalala Kasi pinalitan namin yun, pero nagamit namin yun, na bagong mag-Zoom, nagkikita-kita kami, pero bago gamitin yung Zoom, talagang may pinag-usapan muna, So, ito yung preparation na, what I mean is, ito yung ginamit namin as a means of communication to our students, kami, as faculty, and then sa our admin, to the faculty, and faculty to one another, So, yan ang ginamit nung panahon na yon. So, learning management system, ito I cannot share with you the VLE, ng aking former institution, kasi kailangan ko magpaalam pa sa kanila. But they have this even before the pandemic. However, we only use this as parang kumbaga naka-electronic yung course syllabus mo. Parang ganun lang. Pero marami din siyang features. Kaya lang, hindi ko siya na-appreciate nung una. Basta ang ginagawa ko lang, ina-upload ko lang doon sa sa virtual learning environment namin, yung content ng course syllabus. Tapos yung activity for this week, second week, third week, gano'n. So yan ang ginawa. So nag-prepare ang university noon dahil magta-transition na kami to online classes. So aside from the VLE, they introduced to us the use of Canvas. Siguro dito sa inyo, nakagamit na kayo ng Canvas. So just raise your hand kung nakagamit na kayo ng Canvas or you are using Canvas in the delivery of the courses, no? Especially, ito nga, during that time. Ayan, so may nakagamit, si Harry nakagamit na, no? Meron pa. Okay, that's good, no? Wow, may taga-Fatima din pala dito. Ayan. So, take note, no? Nagamit yan. So, between the two, ako, mas gusto ko yung Canvas. Kasi nga, nagkaroon ng training, nagkaroon ng kumbaga sa na-apply mo yung natutunan mo. Yun. So, pero mapapakita lang ako later. Ayoko ma-screenshot yung aking actual ngayon, yung ginagamit ko ngayon. So, aside from that, so preparation na to, no? So, June, July, so June, training kami ng Canvas. June, July, nagpe-prepare na kami ng course syllabus namin. Yun. So, ito yung trainings, no? Yung course pack, no? Yung course packs. So, we underwent training sa course packs kasi nga, from yung course syllabus namin, we need to convert it into a course pack. So, ito naman pwede ko i-share kasi napagdaanan ko to. So, we have the course guide. So, yung course pack namin contains or composed of rather course guide, study guide, assignment guide, instructional materials. No? And then, we also have this training, designing flexible learning environment. So, we really prepare our students, no? Kung kami, ako, as a faculty, na-prepare kami, then we also taught this to other schools, no? Sa mga faculty din, no? Nagkaroon kami ng ganito. Yung course pack, galing ito mismo sa UP Diliman. Ang tawag nila dito noon ay course pack Ganern, ha? So ito yon. So ibig sabihin, sa mga nagtuturo dito na involved sa academe, take note, no, you need to have a clear course syllabus. Kasi kahit anong platforms ang gamitin mo, kung hindi naman malinaw yung course syllabus mo, paano mo i-deliver yung topic mo o yung assigned course mo, no? So ito yon. So yung course pack, nanggaling ito sa course syllabus namin. So pero meron kaming template na finalo para malagyan ng laman yung course guide, ano yung study guide, ano yung assignment guide, ano yung mga instructional materials. And then we also underwent another training, which is the designing flexible learning environment. And then aside from that, ito yung kagandahan na experience ko noon, na as we transition to online classes, nagkaroon din ng mga seminars or webinars about holistic approach of faculty in online platform. Kasi ang sabi, will you have the same attitude, no? Yung standard mo ba magpaparehas sa online? Kasi iba yung face-to-face sa online, ano? Mas malaki ba yung consideration mo dito? Yeah, so, tapos, syempre, yung hours mo, no? Yung dati, 8 hours ka lang no? Ngayon, naging 24/7 na. Wala nang boundaries yung 8 hours mo nung time na yan, ano? So, yan ang inayos, no? Kung baka tinignan sa akin. So, hinahanda ako. Now, student and faculty issues and concerns, no, during the transitions. Alam ko makaka-relate kayo. Access to internet. Diba na pag-usapan? Ano yung provider mo, no? Yung, itong telecommunication na to, mas okay ba siya to, okay ba ito, no? Siyempre, at kung meron bang meron kang internet, no? So, ang mangyayari, magpapakabit ka. Gadgets, no? Cellphone, laptop, yan. And then, environment mo, location, availability of the telecommunication, yun ang tinitingnan. Kasi sabi ng mga students ko, noong umpisa talagang sobrang transition. Lumalabas sila pupunta ng bandang bundok, lalo na kung nasa provinces, no? Ikita mo. Kasi di ba hindi naman na lumuwas ang mga estudyante noong 2020, especially noong first semester, talagang sobrang challenge. No? Move na nga yung school calendar mo, tapos ito pa yung ano mo, no, yung situation mo, you need to have laptop, you need to have cell phone, no? Plus the internet, yan. Now, use of online platform during pandemic. Yan. So, in my experience, I use Canvas, no? But we are using both the VLE and Canvas. But for my course, I use Canvas. At that time, I was given 3 courses. But fortunately, it was not offered at the same time. So, ibig sabihin, nagkaroon na rin ng, kumbaga sa broken schedule, di ba? Kumbaga sa module, ito, first module muna, 5 weeks. Second module, ito, after, on the 6th week. So ako, naranasan ko yung gano'n na, ang pinaka-unforgettable ko yung anatomy ko, no? Yung anatomy na handle ko. Kasi bago siya sa akin, meaning sa lecture, sa laboratory, walang problema. But for the lecture, yun ang kailangan kong bigyan ng pansin. But yung isa kong course is Human Development, naturo ko na siya bago mag-pandemya. So I already have my materials, even my lectures, no? Lahat, meron na. Tapos yung pangatlo, forte ko naman po yung maternal and child. So hindi ako nahirapan kasi I already have my materials. Except for my anatomy, no? Kasi I was given 4 systems to teach. So, meron bang mako-cover ng first long exam? We don't have prelim, midterm finals. So we have first long exam, second long exam, third long exam, ganun yung sa amin, no? So, we also apply here the self-directed learning. So, ibig sabihin, you need to be clear, na di ba I showed to you ano yung preparation. We use yung course pack, no? Siyempre, no, i-apply mo dito, ano yung di ba sinasabi nga no, na introduce na yung synchronous and asynchronous session. So, how will you handle the asynchronous session? Kasi yung time ng klase mo, dapat yun din, no, sumasakto doon sa time at saka yung activities mo. Yun ang training sa amin eh. Kailangan nag-asynchronous ka, pero dapat yung activity, yung oras ay kasya doon. Ano? Yung doon sa activity na ginawa mo, kasya doon sa time ng klase mo. Yan. Pero talaga nung transitioning, hindi naging madali. Yun, no? Pero, siyempre, you know naman my students, no, sa ganyan, na talagang they can really do self-directed learning. Ano? Talagang basta malinaw lamang ang instruction mo sa kanila. And ito ngayon yung pinaka, no, mahirap, yung preparation of the lectures. No? Kasi sa Canvas, I use the page to put my lecture notes. Kasi no siya, no? Lecture notes yan and recorded lecture. I will present, I hope gumana no, ngayon. Kasi tinest ko naman kanina bago ko nag-log in kung okay siya. Pero you will see, ang difficulty ko nung panahon na yon, preparing for this, was first, I need to do my recording at night. No? Walang ingay. Walang disturbance ng sasakyan, yan yung tahol ng aso, walang tao, kundi ikaw lang yung maingay kasi ikaw yung nagre-record. So yun, nag-change yung body clock ko, hindi ko alam kung naka-experience yan, ano? Kasi i-upload mo yung yung lecture mo. Kasi nung una, ang thinking namin doon sa Canvas, mas maganda i-upload mo yung lecture mo, yung recorded lecture mo, instead the lecture notes. So, kumbaga sana, ito na yung challenge. So, challenge mo dyan, yung internet mo, tapos yung time, nag-change ang body clock ko. Imagine, I'm a morning person, nag-change ako into a night person. Kasi umaga na ako natutulog. Kaya lang sa experience ko, imagine, ang concern ko doon, ang na-realize ko yung internet ko. Imagine nyo po I started my recording 10 p.m. Pero dahil umpisa pa lang, no? You need to prepare your script, you need to synchronize your script to your PowerPoint, tapos yung mga explanation, talagang gumawa pa ako ng script niya. And then pag nag-start na ako mag-record, what happened? Was eto na, umpisa pa lang, no? The topic for today, wala na, nablanko ka na. So, repeat na naman. You need to delete the first recording. So, another recording. Diyos ko, at the end of the day, at the end of that night, morning na pala, alas 3 na ng madaling araw, doon mo lang na perfect. All the while, I thought perfect siya. Yan yung preparation ng lecture. But for the for the asynchronous session, kasi kung i-upload mo yung recorded lecture mo, you are not going to meet them live. So mag-asynchronous ka. Ganyan. So I'd like to share with you, ito yung result ng isa kong recording na all the while I thought, I hope you can hear it, all the while I thought, perfect. Sorry, later na muna yan. Babalikan ko na lang yan. Ito siya. I hope you can. I hope naririnig ninyo, no? So, ang tawag ko dyan ay chipmunks recording. I hope narinig ninyo, ha? Talagang paggising ko, kasi alas 3 natulog lang ako sandali, kasi I need to upload this, eh. Diyos ko, I was so talagang, parang kumbaga talagang nanghina ako kasi sabi ko, kala ko okay na, tapos yung pala hindi pa. So yun, anong nangyari sa akin? Kasi I need to upload this sa Canvas ko. Okay. So another one, ito na yun. I hope you can hear it. Yan. Okay, no? Pansinin niyo po yung boses ko. Sobra pong kumbaga dahil kailangan kong mag-record at matapos siya para mai-upload ko bago mag-alas 8 ng umaga. So, bumagal ako pero I tried my best na kahit na antok ako, kailangan ang boses ko matino. Pero kung mapapakinggan yung boses ko para akong lasing. So, yun. So, going back to this, no? So, yung asynchronous online classes, ito yung pinaka framework natin. No? So, kailangan mo ma-complete work each week on your schedule. So, ito yung pwede din sa atin and then to the students. Receive immediate feedback on quizzes. Schedule group work when it is most convenient for everyone. While the synchronous online classes, attend class virtually each week with instructors and classmates. So, nung 2020, sasabihin ko sa inyo, ang topic ko nun, I was the one being pointed to discuss online, live, na ang topic ko ay endocrine system. So all the while they thought na ang topic ko lang noon will run for about an hour. Naubos ko yung 3 hours namin. Talagang sa haba. Tapos ni-record pa. Tapos susunod estudyante i-upload namin sa Canvas. So talagang yun ang challenges, no? Sa imagine mo yung pag-prepare mo ng lecture, tapos ito ka, no? Participate in real-time discussion during class time. Tapos improve presentation skills. So at the end, yung center na to, attend class from anywhere, communicate regularly with instructors and network and make connections with classmates. Basta ito, as long as your internet connection is good. Kasi ang naranasan ko na nagsasalita ako but they don't hear me, no? Kumbaga wala, tapos bumabagal, no? Naglalag. I know you experience these things, no? And you can relate to what I'm sharing with you. Yun ang pinagdaanan ko, no? Na talaga kailangan kong magpalit ng internet provider ko. To the point, inaway ko ng internet provider namin. Talagang napapahiya ako kasi meron akong experience na ako yung MC, eh. Hindi nila ako marinig. So somebody took over, no? Para lang magtuloy yung aking yung supposed to be assigned task ko. Kasi nga, ang problem, yung internet. So yan. So finally, nung 2020, no, basta nag-change na kami ng internet provider namin. At fortunately, matino naman siya, no, compared doon sa dati namin. So ito ngayon yung yung use ng online platform mo na you don't just use an online platform without a clear direction, content, no? And especially what I have shown to you, no, yung video ko kanina na napakita sa inyo. Another example, ito na. Sabi kasi ng estudyante ko, ma'am, ang ganda po ng lecture ninyo eh. Yung lecture ko ng cardio, that is only 1 hour and few minutes. No? Hindi siya umabot ng kagaya ng endocrine system ko na 3 hours ng live. Magkaiba eh. No? Kasi meron ka ng script, mabilis yung discussion mo, unlike doon sa online, as a live rather, mayroon kang may opportunity yung students mag-ask. So yun. So napansin ko yung students ko, ito sample ko lang po kasi currently dito ako nag-work at ito yung current ko ngayon, topic, no? Sabi ko, nagpapakahirap ako, this is my own experience, nagpapakahirap ako mag-record, nagpupuyat ako. Tapos at the end, sasabihin sila ng estudyante, ma'am, maganda sana, kaya lang talaga hindi kaya ng internet nila at merong, kumbaga, installment. So what I did, dahil naturuan nga kami on how to use yung sa page, no? Trinay ko. So this is my example on how I put my lecture notes in the canvas, no, under the page section, so that the students, even though you are not talking to them in a by a recording ng lecture mo, at least they could still imagine that you are talking to them through your presentation. So yan, meron na. Tapos ayan, meron akong discussion, tapos ito na yung notes ko. So nakikita ng mga estudyante, kasi sa PowerPoint presentation ko, siyempre may animation tayo, no, pag live. Yan. So these are examples, no, of how I use the online platform in the delivery of the course, of the courses assigned to me. Yan. Now, ito. Another thing that I would like to share with you, which happened last year, kasi bago po nagtapos yung aking temporary appointment sa dati kong institution, I had a chance to use naman the online platform in a live demonstration or in a live lecture. So kumbaga nakasynchronous kami, pero you are demonstrating. So we were allowed to borrow materials in the school. So kumuha kami ng gamit. Kasi ako ang assigned sa akin ay care of the newborn station. Kasi yung aming VLE, kasi nung last year, first semester, VLE kami, hindi kami nag-canvas. Kasi maraming na-discover na pwedeng gamitin namin sa VLE. Yung simulation, na meron kang simulation na naka-asynchronous, meron kang live na synchronous, no, kumbaga. So nakikita na. So nakapag-grade. So nagkaroon din kami ng idea. So yung aking station ay care of the newborn. And this is how I use the online platform during pandemic, no? Na ito siya. Look at my setup. Nasa baba po ito, no? Nasa dining area. Yung dining table ko, kino-convert ko siya into a working table. Kasi maliit lang naman ang bahay namin, maliit lang ang space namin. So, yun lang So, nagpahinga ako. Ito yung galing. Itong gamit na to galing sa school. At yun ang mga estudyante ko. Tignan niyo po yung laptop ko. Yan. Sa awa ng Diyos, yung laptop ko ay umabot naman. Naitawid ko, no? Kasi kasama yan sa concern mo yung gadgets mo, kung kakayanin niya ba, no? At higit sa lahat, mapapansin niyo po, I also have another gadget which is my cell phone. So talagang, kumbaga, as I discussed with them, no, naka-open. So naka-open ako sa dalawang gadgets sa Canvas. And then, here's another one. Ito na yung totoo. Siyempre may gastos, kaya nga skyrocketing nga ba talaga? No? So talaga, no? Kasi gagastos ka talaga. Na ang dami, no? So meron kang yung ring lights. Tapos ito yung cellphone ko, yung laptop ko. Ayun. Pero kita nyo, ito po yung green background ko. Yan. Ang karamihan ng bumili nito yung asawa ko na kasi naawa siya sa akin dahil nga nakikita yung kabuuan ng bahay namin. So, naghanap siya nung panahon na yan. At least nagamit ko na yung aking green background. So kikita nyo po, no? Ito pong nakikita nyo yung scenario, ito yung baby. I told them that the baby, no, yung scenario namin, yung baby is on a skin-to-skin contact. Meaning, kapapanganak pa lang, so naka-skin-to-skin contact. Diba? Nakat na yung umbilical cord, so naka-skin-to-skin contact in between the breast of the mother. So meron kaming queuing before you perform eye care. So yan, ini-explain ko. So ito na po yan, no? Nakikita nyo po yung sino po nag-document ito? Sabi ko sa husband ko, picturean mo para meron akong masishare pagdating ng panahon. So ito po yung resulta nun. So siya po yung assistant ko. Yan. Yan. Kita nyo po, no, yung background ko, nakikita nyo yung bahay ko, ay setup. Tapos yung tray ko magulo na kasi nagamit ko na siya. Yan. So naka-ano din talaga ako, naka-cup, naka-gloves, no? May moments ako na sa sobrang excited na yung sobrang yung excitement mo ba to really teach, no? Ayun, nakalimutan mo mag-gloves sa discussion mo sa umpisa. Yan. So kikita nyo po doon sa aking presentation, ayun, ang merong, nasa DR kami, ayun yung pasyente, kasi yun yung baby. Yan. Ito na nagpe-perform na ako ng eye care. Yan. So, ano yun as I perform, the students are doing it. Pina-simultaneous ko sila. Sige, sabay tayo. Total, nire-review na natin ito. Kasi this is what we call yung bagasano. Ito na po yung pag-bridge namin nung 2020. Kasi nga po marami kaming ginawang adjustment. So may tinatawag din kaming decoupled, no, ng courses, ng mga courses with RLE. So kumbaga, ito, in-offer siya last year, bago namin, bago mag-duty ang estudyante, if given a chance ka na matuloy yung duty. So ito yan, ano? So I taught them how to apply the eye ointment, no? Tapos yan, ito naman yung anthropometric measurement. So yan. So ibig sabihin, nakikita niyo po yung nandun sa side na ito, na magulo na, no? Nagamit ko na siya kasi eye care, vitamin K, di ba, yung HEPA B, tapos after that, mag-anthropometric measurements ka na. So may weighing scale po ako, nahiram ako sa school, kasama po yung sa nirequest kong gamit. Meron akong basin for bathing the baby. Yan. So these are the things that I did, no? Using the online platform, no? Kumbaga, via Zoom, meet mo yung estudyante mo, tapos ito, nag-present ka na ng assigned topic mo. So ako po ay nasa care of the newborn station. Yeah. So umiikot po yung estudyante. How many students do I have for a morning session? I only have 5. Yan na po, pinakamarami na po yung 5. Maaring mas maganda kung 4 lang kasi natututukan. Tsaka ang kagandahan po nito, ang nakita ko lang advantage because you have a close-up look to them. Pwede mo kasi i-click at makita sila if they are doing the right thing. Especially sa injection. Ang pinakamahirap po yung injection. Kasi during nung 2020, I only required my students to submit a video recording of anthropometric measurement. Sila din po to, same students, pero 2020, tapos last year, 2021, nagkita-kita uli kami. Kasi nga, we were preparing the students for the clinical duties. Dahil mangyayari talaga sila, ano, yung panahon na yan. So, then, after that, ito na, no? So ito po yung aking yung demonstration ko using the online platform. The challenges in using online platform, no, during pandemic. Schedule of classes. Yan, isa. Kasi nung time na yon, di ba, nag-move. Supposed to be August ka, napunta ka ng September. Tapos I have, yung first semester po of 2020, I have 3 courses nga, di ba? Gusto ko sabihin sa inyo na yung first course ko, which is anatomy, talagang from the start of the semester, you are already handling the students. The second course ko po will be offered on the 8th week of the semester. Tapos yung third course ko will be offered on the 11th week of the semester. Pero magkakaroon talaga ng overlap kasi meron po kaming anatomy na nagkakaroon ng So, pero at least kahit pa paano, yung busy ka na, no? As you end the semester, super busy na talaga. But for that year and for that semester, I know you remember this and you probably experienced, nagkaroon po tayo ng bagyo. No? Sorry, ito. Nagkaroon po ng bagyo. Kaya yun po yung pinaka-challenging sa nangyari nung November 2020. So second semester, 2022 courses po ang na-handle ko. So mas lighter na, no? Kahit pa paano. Pero yun nga, nagkaroon po kasi ng evaluation on the delivery of the courses, the schedule of classes during the first semester. So medyo nag-mellow ng konti ng second semester. And then courses with laboratory and RLE, nagamit po namin yung term na decoupled. Meaning, we remove RLE to the courses like yung sa namin, maternal and child nursing, meron siyang laboratory, meron siyang RLE. Yung laboratory, kaya mo yun eh. Kasi kahit sa anatomy, you can offer laboratory because the students will just simply answer the manual, no? Yun nga lang, syempre, when the students answer the manual sa anatomy, they can easily answer that because they can access now with the references. Unlike sa classroom, talagang dun lang. They are not allowed talaga to open their books, no? So yun, they will answer yung laboratory requirement nila. But for the online, they can answer it, no? So yun. Pero sa RLE, na-decouple po siya. So nahiwalay. So it was last year lang when we offered for example, sa maternal and child nursing, it was only last year when we offered it. Offered in the next semester, yung courses. Now, natural calamity, ito yung gusto kong sanang i-point out kanina, but I realize may kasama siya sa akin yung challenges, no, sa list. Wrath of Typhoon 2020. This is the most challenging part. Kasi po, yung sabi ko nga sa yung second course na handle ko, I will start the week for that. On the 8th week, the classes will be, I will start the classes on the 8th week. But what happened, nagkaroon ng adjustment yung first course, yung susundan kong course. Instead na they will end on the last week of October, they ended up ng first week ng November. However, the first week of November was scheduled for reading break. Naku, nagkaroon ng reading break. Is ko talaga, no? And then, wala na. So, ilan ang nabawas sa akin? 2 na. 5 na lang. 5 weeks. Fortunately, we were able to meet on the second week of November. If I'm not mistaken, November 11, something like that. No, November 11 yan tayo. Wednesday, yung class was kind of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. After that, nagkaroon ng typhoon. Nagkaroon ng yung Wrath of Typhoon 2020 resulted to suspension of classes, no? Power interruption, may flooding, tapos siyempre internet connection, wala. Alam ng students ko na they have a deadline, which is, a deadline for their first module, yung topic nila for that week. So yung mga estudyante, despite what happened nung gabi ng November 11, talagang ginabukasan noon, diba, nag-brownout na. It took a while before na-restore ang power natin. So, grabe, no? Yung estudyante nagte-text na, "Ma'am, paano po yun? Yung deadline, yung ganito, nag-aalala na sila." Imagine nyo, no? Nung panahon na. Tapos, siyempre nakapag-meet kami, no? Yung fifth week. Kaso nag-declare ng recovery period. Yung 1-week recovery period. Talagang. So, we need to do adjustment on the submission of requirements, yung deadline. So, talagang lahat, no? And to the point, the students were already, were the one manipulating na, no? The faculty in terms of the submission of the requirements. Ang last ng last day ng semester namin ay December, no? Yung bago mag-Christmas vacation. So talagang ito yung challenges, no, na experience ko compared nung 2021 at saka nitong 2020. Kumbaga, no, malaki na kasi nakapag-adjust na lahat in terms of, yung use ng mga online platforms natin, yung learning management system. Pero nung 2020 was really a challenging year, no, for me as a faculty. Another thing, so yung pinakamatindi, yung tanong kanina ni Dr. Rudy plus yung may nagtanong pa na about student assessment in terms of skills. To tell you po, okay, yung nakita yung demonstration ko kanina, syempre, no, step by step, no, I explained to the students, this is what you're going to do, ganyan. When they submitted their recorded video, and then, as equivalent to sa return demonstration, I was so shocked. To tell you, I was so shocked. Kasi, di ba alam po natin yan, dyan naman si Dr. Borromeo, no, sa hospital. Protocol na yan eh. Principle, magkakaiba lang ng konti yan. Kung saan bawa lang po, mauna mo na yung injection ng vitamin K bago po yung eye care. No? Kasi sa experience ko po noon sa PGH, nauuna po yung injection ng vitamin K tsaka ng HEPA. Tapos pag nag-perform na kami ng eye care, di ba, mayroon naman tayong principle ng delay 1 hour sa eye care, no? At least to promote banding. So, ang cue naman namin doon kapag nag-launch na. But by principle, you start first with the eye ointment, followed by vitamin K, and then HEPA. And then the last one is BCG. You know what some of my students did, no? Sa pag-submit nila, I was so shocked kasi despite my explanation to them, yun na, nagkatalo na kami. Kasi after nilang magbigay nag-eye care, nagbigay muna sila ng BCG. Yun. Binigyan nila ng BCG. Tapos, after that, yung isa naman, nagbigay muna siya ng HEPA-B. So, ang ginawa ko, since madali naman, nakikita mo na, you open your email, then you send email to those concerned students. And then I pointed out to them, I just hope you will have an actual duty so that you will remember what I have done. Kasi, ang question doon, maiinis ka ba? Magagalit ka ba? Despite the fact that you taught them on this particular procedure, kasi pinopoint out namin na nagdedepende sa protocol ng hospital, no? But ako, yung experience ko nga, na ito yung ginagawa namin. So yan, yun po yung concern, no? Na sabi yung tanong, kailangan talagang ma-reinforce. Kasi kailangan magkaroon ng actual. Or else, magkaroon ng intervention by the time they will become a nurse. Kasi when it comes to cognitive aspect, walang problema kasi pag-aaralan eh, no? When they do practice, kikita mo naman skills. But there is really a difference between, a demonstration na online plus an actual. So what happened, I had a chance to experience limited face-to-face. No? That was November. So yung hinahabol namin para sa 4th year, kasi sa 4th year namin, nagawa na namin lahat except na lang yung actual yung mag-duty. Dahil bago nag-pandemya, nagawa lahat sa 4th year, yung aming 4th year, no? Meaning, nung 2nd year sila, natapos namin lahat ng skills. Ang kailangan na lang ay actual. And guess what, no? What would be the attitude of the faculty in handling students? Tama yung sinabi kanina ni Doc kanina, no? Kumbaga, kailangan, we have to be patient as a clinical instructor. No? Hindi mo pwedeng, naturo na yan sa'yo, bakit hindi mo yan, di ba? Di ba, ang galing-galing mo nga, no? Yun. Kasi ang nangyari sa akin, kasi I was assigned, hindi kami pinayagan sa hospital na lahat kami nasa community, nag-health center ako, yung kasamahan ko sa line-in. So what happened, kami, kumbaga ako, I assign my students, I have about 5 students, inassign ko sila, so meron sa admission, tapos iniikot ko sila pagdating sa immunization. Ganyan. Doon ko ngayon nakita yung skills on how they do injection. Kasi injection pa lang makikita mo na kung may confidence ba or kailangan mo bang So I became patient para akong bumalik sa 1st or 2nd year. Kailangan kasi nanginginig. Tapos parang titirahin lang talaga yung muscle ng baby, parang gano'n, So I allow them talagang to have a hands-on, hindi pwedeng isa lang. So pag naka-rotate na, ang 5, rotate uli. So kailangan makumpleto mo hanggang sa magbigay ka na ng yung IM para sa using deltoid. Kasi yung lang, kahit papano, you can reinforce the needed skills and and to establish the confidence of the students. So napakahalaga niyan. Bago man lang sila graduate. Tama yung tanong kanina, what will happen to those students who finish in 2020 or yung well, may naka-establish na yan eh. Kaya lang, mas mahirap po yung yung buong 2020 at 2021 talagang purely online tayo. So yun ang mas mahirap. Maganda po yung napag-usapan kanina, no? So please take note of this. Kung may mga faculty po dito, please take note. No? Pag nagkaroon ng opportunity to have an actual exposure, you give them the opportunity to learn. But you have to be patient. Kasi kung nanginginig, ako ginawa ko, doon sa isa kong estudyante, iha. Nakatingin yung nanay, o di kaya yung lola, hawak-hawak yung baby. Nanginginig eh. Pero gagawin ko, pupunin ko muna siya sandali, iko-coach ko, hinga ka muna malalim. Sige, hinga. Then, release slowly, then, okay. So, sasabihin ko sa kanya, kaya mo yan, ha? Sige, nandiyan lang ako nakaalala. Kasi gusto ko magtiwala sa kanya yung yung pasyente, yung nanay o yung lola, yung baby. So yun, ikita mo, no? Tapos after the duty, I will have a post-conference with them. I will ask them, no? They need to reflect what they have learned, what they have realized, no? So yun po yung ako bilang faculty, yun ang aking naging strategy. This is very important po, no? Talagang challenge talaga kasi iba. Kagaya ng pinento ko sa inyo na sige, no, ang galing ng estudyante, you can give them a grade kasi nga nag-record, no? Pero iba pa rin po kapag na-handle nyo sila sa area. Yun. And of course, yung faculty and students concerns, pasok po dito as part din. Siyempre, yung access again, na-mention ko yung challenges, to internet connection, gadgets, yung cellphone, laptop, earphone, microphone, lights, no? And then bills, no? Kasama yan, electricity, water, internet. So ako naman po, I'm very thankful to my former institution din kasi na-experience ko po yung nabigyan kami ng benefits for this, no? Allowance. At least, kumbaga, nailaban po ito ng aming union na as a support. Kasi nga, wala na kami sa school. Hindi na kami gumagamit ng electricity ng school sa bahay na, no? So, yung pati internet, pati water. Siyempre, no? But I would like to share with you na talagang hindi po naging madali din. Kaya lang, no, kailangan as a faculty, kung matagal ka na nagtuturo, you need to be flexible. Tanga, no? So, household chores kasama yan. So, may mga estudyante po ako na talagang bago humarap muna sa laptop, ay magtatrabaho muna. Meron ba kayo na-encounter na ganyan? No? So, ito na, no? Skyrocketing online platforms, effective or not. Ako dito, nung nabasa ko to, kinapture ko siya, pero from my blog. So, ironically, it's the pandemic we have to thank for the incredible boost of educational platforms received in the last 6 months. With the safety measures introduced in several countries, majority of university and school programs were bound to transfer to online platforms. Sabi naman dito sa isang news sa Manila Bulletin by Vivas, are you for or against flexible learning? Students and teachers weigh in on the issue. Kasi yung tanong naman natin, effective ba siya or hindi, no? Tatapusin ko muna yung yan. Sa chat naman, may tinatawag na guidelines on the implementation of flexible learning. Kaya lang meron daw debate na nangyari kasi parang iba yung meaning ng ating chairman, tungkol sa flexible learning. Pero sabi naman niya, it is a mix-up, no? Pero there's no going back. Flexible learning will be norm. So kung yung tinatanong ay online, skyrocketing online platform, effective or not, it could be effective. Yes, it could be not effective. Magdedepend po ito kung ano po yung course na tinuturo mo, just like what I have shared with you. Hindi ko ang online platform para sa akin ay okay din as a vehicle to deliver. Yung kasi ng purpose naman nun to deliver the teaching, just like what I'm doing to you right now, no? I'm using this platform to deliver my topic, di ba? But the point is, kung pagdating sa mga merong skills, no? doon natin ma-measure. Magandang gawa ng research after. And yesterday, yung tanong din, ano yung, kasi si Doc, no, Doc Rameo, siyempre as tama ba ako, Doc, chief nurse, no, nursing director sa isang hospital sa Manila Doctor. So, kumbaga, ako kahapon, I attended a virtual, nursing virtual platform, no, sa Asian Hospital. Ang ganda po, sobrang ganda talaga. Pero sabi ko nga, my only request sana, after that, magkaroon din ng hands-on for better appreciation ng mga students. Ang ganda po ng facilities and how, ano po yun, isang concept, no, sa perioperative nursing. Ganda po ng presentation din. So yung one way to bridge the gap, no, and one way then to have the students not only confined to textbooks, no, sa mga lectures, but also to have a simulation of what is in the clinical area. Okay po? So with that, these are my references, and thank you for listening. Sorry for the extent of it.
Thank you for the informative discussion po, Dr. Balena. And indeed, there's a significance and different pros and cons po of using online as a platform of learning. So merely from the very basic po, no, like the internet connection to the internet provider, through the different methods of presenting the lectures, and even the challenges po. Personally, ako po, I was interested on how to properly balance the asynchronous online classes and synchronous online classes, especially mastering how to be patient and flexible po. Because in the end, this will continue to help students po to feel inspired and motivated.
Yeah.
Opo. So in view with that, we are giving a chance to our participants again to ask their questions. So we encourage our participants to open your microphones and ask your questions directly to our speaker, or you can type in your questions to our chat box. Ayan. So,
pero wala nakarelate ba o nakarelate po ba?
Ako na lang po magtatanong, Dr. Balena. So, since we've talked about more on the innovative side po of the online platforms, ma'am, ano po masasabi nyo with regards of the mental health naman po of students if we're doing this on the long term, in the long run po? So, if so, ano rin po yung pwedeng suggestion nyo po if there will be any innovations po for doing online platforms?
Yung question mo, Sir Mark, yung about the mental health. To tell you po, during the time na we had this pandemic na 2020, marami po kami students na nag-isip na mag-quit yung panahon na yun. Kasi nga, ang first is yung coping nila, no, to the changes, to the transitioning. Para sa akin kasi, siguro, i-apply ko yung experience ko sa graduate school. We can apply this in the form of blended learning approach, but not purely. Sobra po. No? Hindi lang naman po yung students ang may issue sa mental. Even as faculty, nakakaranas ka rin. Kaya lang, you have to maintain your composure. Ang kagandahan lang po sa experience ko sa team ko, we talk about, na yung after the meeting, so magkakamustahan yan, nandiyan lang maglalabasan ng nararamdaman. So kahit pa paano nag-ventilate ka. Pero sabi nga, new normal, probably we can use this na yung combined but not really pure online. Yun.
Yes po.
Tapos siguro din, ako sa naging experience ko, hindi lang kasi yung paggamit ng yung online platform. Ang talagang pinaka-importante as a faculty is you have a clear course syllabus, the content of your course syllabus. Kasi yung teaching, learning activities na section, doon mo ngayon i-apply yan eh. Yung online platform mo, kung halimbawa, gagamit ka ng mag-asynchronous ka na, so you will be using the kind of video, recorded lecture, or mga link, yun. Yun ang sa akin, ano? Kasi kahit anong innovations, pag hindi naging malinaw yung core syllabus mo, even the clinical focus, this will become useless. So yun ang pinaka-core. Tapos you need
Yes
to
po.
have yung namang, siyempre yung facilities, diba? Yung learning management system, nagdedepende po din yan sa ating institution. Yun po.
Maraming salamat po, ma'am. So, meron pa po ba tayong ibang questions sa ating participants?
Yes,
Yes.
Harry.
Yes, Mr. Harry.
Hello po, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hi.
So, I'm Harry Marquez from Bachelor of Science in Nursing Second Year College. So, in regard lang po sa may tinuro niyo, sobrang nakarelate po ako kasi due to new learning system na po natin as of now is napakahirap, sobrang hirap. Especially on me because I am working as a nursing attendant at emergency department on East Avenue Medical Center. So napakahirap i-adjust nung time management sa work, although na-apply mo, since napag-aaralan mo siya, na-apply mo. However, ang inaalala ko is yung other classmates ko nga kasi nga, since it's a online learning, lahat through virtually mo lang siya matututunan, through YouTube mo lang siya matututunan, mag-a-appear lang siya sa monitor. So hindi mo nahahawakan yung pasyente, hindi mo na-experience yung pasyente. And prior to that, I am talking some of the nurses of East Avenue Medical Center, and some of them is telling me na more on experience, yung pagdating sa board exam, yung mga rationale and critical thinking, dapat yung position mo, nilalagay mo na yung sarili mo na nag-work ka na sa hospital. Ganun yung mga question daw sa board exam. However, dito sa topic mo na kung effective ba or not, for me, as a student lang, mama, hindi ko po ito nilalahat kasi syempre, we have different perceptions naman. So, for me, siya, half effective. Kasi we all know that nursing is both of knowledge and skills. You have to have broad knowledge. Para magawa mo yung skills na meron ka is kailangan mo ng knowledge kasi yun yung magiging composure mo, yun yung magiging source mo sa lahat para magkaroon ka ng magandang skills. So parang ang akin is nowadays parang naano lang ako sa mga lalo na sa mga nurses in terms of newly graduates, 'di ba? Because we all know naman na some of them na hindi talaga nakapag-hospital experience, some of them is pumasa talaga ng board exam kasi pinukpok talaga nila yung sarili nila na kailangan ko tong pumasa one way or another because we all know na hindi madali yung pag-nursing. Sobrang hirap nung nursing kasi hindi lang siya dahil sa pag-aaral mo yung anatomy and physiology ng human, biochemistry, di ba? Na sometimes we do not apply it on the patient. However, yung yung experience natin is nai-invalidate kami pagdating na sa ward, pagdating na nasa trabaho na kami na parang pag may nagawa kang mali, some of the senior nurses will think na kasi nga nagkamali siya kasi sa online school lang sila graduate. May mga ganong quotation may hindi mo maaalis yung mga ganong stigma. For me, yun yung dilemma ko ngayon na sana matapos na tong pandemic, sana magkaroon na ng mga face-to-face classes para yung mga nurses din na graduate natin soon because we handle patient, we handle life. So para hindi na rin nadidistinguish kasi some of them tinatawag yung mga nag-online na mga online nursing na incompetent na pag regarding daw sa diagnosis, kailangan mo pang i-search sa Google kasi nga hindi mo siya na-experience through face-to-face. So virtually lang. So parang lahat sinasabi nila parang Google Nurse lang yan, yung mga ganun. So parang ang akin, for me, this topic, napakaganda nung mga shinare mo, ma'am. And for me, effective in a way of knowledge, but in the skills,
Yeah.
hindi. Kasi for me, ngayon ma'am, mag-a-assess ka ng ears, you need to have otoscope. However, we have different circumstances in life. Some of the student is pinag-aaral lang ng parents nila, and the work of their parents is mahirap lang din, 'di ba? So, yung minsan inilo-loan pa ng parents nila, may pangbayad lang sila sa tuition. Yung iba katulad ko, kailangan ko pang magtrabaho para lang mapag-aral ko yung sarili ko kasi I am passionate of helping other people. So I pick nursing because I want to help other people to their health problem, to their health issues, and also to help my family. Kasi alam naman natin na napaka-important na parang ngayon, yung health is yung matatawag na natin is wealth nowadays. Kasi hindi na sukatan yung dami ng pera eh. Ang sukatan ngayon is kung gaano katatag yung immunity mo regarding sa mga disease na kumakalat nowadays. So yun lang for me, effective siya in terms of knowledge, but in skills, hindi ko marirecommend si online regarding to it. So parang for me, if ever man na magkaroon ng face-to-face, sana mabalikan kasi nga for me sabi nga ni Prof Clarita Carlos nga, kasi some of my lecturer professor, na-assess ko na hindi nila nabibigay yung sufficient knowledge to us. I mean, I don't wanna offend some of the yung mga nagtuturo po dito ng nursing. However, may mga ganun talaga na parang school nowadays need to improve the learning progress, yung teaching ng isang professor, kasi knowledge come from you na i-share mo sa mga estudyante mo, how effective you are as a pagkukuhaan ng learnings as a knowledge. So yun lang po. Medyo
Thank you, Harry.
Apo, thank you, ma'am.
Galing.
Okay, thank you Mr. Harry for your question and for your sharing. Marami pong nakarelate sa shinare niyo po. And lastly, kung meron pa po magtatanong sa ating speaker.
Rudy.
Hi sir.
Hello.
Apo, yes sir.
Nakamute po kami, nakamute po kayo.
Yeah, congratulations again, Doc. It was very inspiring and really something that really caught how you managed to perform the I should say very impossible mission impossible, so to speak. How are you going to translate theories into action with the limitations you have? Although siguro, just to reassure Harry, we have limited face-to-face already. We have started the limited face-to-face few months ago. So I guess that will not be a limitation anymore, considering that we are at the level 1 right now. And siguro again, this is just a comment. It will not be a question to Dr. Balena. It's just a comment that we have to look into the fact that this is a reality that we have to really buy in. Otherwise, ang impact kasi nito, Harry, if we will not try to find ways, you can never tell kasi right now we're at level 1. So if we don't move forward, later on it will be something that would impact the healthcare in general. Kaya nga sabi ni Dr. Dan kanina, we have to accept the reality and we have to move forward and see how we can manage to still go on with the profession, generate more nurses for our hospital. Ngayon, nga, tama yung sinabi ni Dr. Balena, let's look at how we can do a study to see really the effect of platform learning and see how we can make some sort of improvement to the existing online at the national level. So I guess what we can do is see how you can blend all the platforms together and see which is the best platform that we can utilize. Kasi we can never tell even if right now we are slow because according to the Okta research, it's something that the number of cases that is slowly dwindling down is probably because we are hybrid. We are hybrid in terms of our vaccination. We are hybrid in terms of the variants that came in. But given few months, if we wind down all the vaccines that we had, the government is even thinking of additional or the fourth dose, on top of the booster dose. So those are the realities that we have to accept. You can never tell. If there's a new variant again, then there will be additional surge. So with that, we have to look at how we can recreate in a more proactive way. Kasi number one, you have to consider how we can really improve the platform and come up with a general platform across the educational system. Maybe it's a good also avenue for our educators to invite people in the practice, especially in the service where they can give inputs also on how to improve. I do agree that you can just improve the cognitive and the critical thinking side, But the most important thing for us in the industry, especially in the practice of nursing, is how we can manage to still improve the level of confidence of the students. Importante sa amin yon. Pag confident ka, yung sinasabi ni Dr. Balena, if nanginginig ka or something, that's one thing that we have to develop among students, regardless of whether they're doing it or they're using simulator or the like. The most important thing is to have to build the confidence for the students. You have to reassure them that hospitals is ready, the educational system of the hospital is ready to augment and see how we can fill in the gaps. Kasi what the hospital can do is to design a program naman that would augment and fill in the gaps as far as skills is concerned. It has, like sinabi ko na, you have to establish a symbiotic relationship between the school and the hospital. Otherwise, it will end up really bringing students na talagang, flimsy, if I may consider the word. Importante, you have to build the confidence. Good that Harry has experiences already as nursing assistant or nursing aide. I guess for the others who doesn't have any exposure to the hospital, just a reassurance. That's why in our program, just to share, we have this we call ideas. It's when you say ideas, it's a partnership between the college and the hospital, where we involve students, build confidence in them. How? Kasi ideas means interdisciplinary education towards acclimation of student nurses. How are we going to acclimate the students? We'll make the interdisciplinary collaboration. So we invite doctors, we invite nurses, we invite those in the PT or in the medtech department to discuss collaboratively with the students and the clinical instructors. It's a focus group discussion. Kung from there pa lang, nabibuild na yung confidence nila and reassure them that the hospital is ready with all the necessary skill enhancement and advancement program, that would be something that we can remedy. So let's face the reality that this platform will live up to when? We can never tell, because we can never tell whatever variants will be coming in. Yeah. But you just have to look at the national level, which is the best platform that we can utilize. And from the platform, they can recreate again and see how we can improve the curriculum in terms of the more granular approach. like I do agree with the flexible learning system in the CMO, but in a more granular way, we can do a study again to look at how we can blend it in the current scenario or the new era or so-called new normal. So those are the things in consideration. There will be a lot of studies that can be done in order to see how we can better our educational system. Now, just a comment and thank you, Dr. Valena.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. My question po is nursing schools in the Philippines ready for the new norm? As a matter of fact, Carl, naka-ready na. Kasi from 2020, nag-strategize na ang ADPCN. Tapos nagkaroon na ng sharing of practices hanggang sa na-introduce na nga yung limited face-to-face. If I remember it right, nung nagkakamali, I think the last year or the other year, I think 2020, nung nagta-transition na tayo sa mag-start yung limited face-to-face, di ba? So ang naatanan kong webinar, ang Fatima, ang Olfo Valenzuela branch, doon present yung paano sila nag-prepare. So all of the schools are now really preparing. Even yung former institution ko din, nag-prepare din. Plus, of course, following the protocol ng IATF, ng local government, at saka ng CHED. Kaya sa ngayon, kasi kung gusto natin talagang umusad, no, ang ating nursing program, even our students, the institution should be ready with this. Kaya yung new norm ay nangyayari. Naghahanda.
Okay, going back, yeah, thank you, Mr. Carl. And yes, going back, thank you very much for your wise comments, opinions, and suggestions on this matter, Dr. Borromeo. And once again, thank you for this wonderful question and answer portion, Dr. Balena. This is really really interesting and enlightening, and all of us were enthused by the topic presented by our speaker. So we'll proceed to the awarding of the certificate. So in behalf of Concordia College Manila Graduate School, allow me to present this certificate of appreciation to our speaker. So this certificate of appreciation is awarded to Dr. Narisha Celudo Balena in recognition of her valuable contributions as a resource speaker during the webinar with the theme Resiliency and Possibilities in the New Era in Teaching and Learning, given this second day of April 2022. Signed by our team leader, Ms. Melissa Ann Prieto Ignacio, Dr. Rodolfo C. Borromeo, Faculty, Principles and Teaching Strategies, and Dr. Rosalina Kaubic, Vice President for Academic Affairs. So before moving forward, do you have any last remarks po or advice po to our students and participants of this group, Dr. Balena?
First, thank you so much for inviting me sa aking alumni na nag-invite sa akin, si Melissa. No? Thank you. At na-appreciate ko din, I have students here, si Carl nandito din. Pero gusto ko lang pong tandaan po ninyo, no? We need to help one another. So tama yung magkaroon tayo ng magandang collaborative relationship with the academe and the hospital. Kasi I think 2 weeks ago or a week ago, we talked about the bullying, sa workplace bullying. So yun po, no, nakikita ko po doon yung nagiging problema na dapat po ngayon pa lang maiayos na rin natin sa nursing service. Andyan po si Dr. Romeo. Maganda po yung program na magkaroon po talaga ng at least intervention to help our graduates at the moment they pass the board exam na, you know, maka-cope, no? Maka-adapt sa hospital. Kasi tama, it's not all about knowledge. Tandaan niyo po yan, the skills. No? The skills should be applied talaga. Kaya sana magtulungan po tayo yung nasa practice at nasa academy. At again, na-appreciate ko po si Harry kasi at least meron na siyang experience. At the same time, siya ay kumbaga ito nag-aaral siya ulit, pero ang maganda sa kanya ay meron na siyang clinical experience, na i-enhance na yung kanyang kaalaman sa kanyang actual exposure, ika nga, no, sa duty niya, no, bilang isang nursing attendant. So, I wish you the best, Harry, na makatapos ka ng nursing at maging isa kang lisensyadong nurse. At sa inyong lahat, sana po, ito hindi lang po dito, but we need to apply what I have shared with you, and you can also strategize or innovate in your respective institution. Maraming pong salamat.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Balena. And before we end our program, may I hand over the closing remarks to my colleague, Ms. Virginia Capasio.
Nakamute ka, G. Nakamute.
Good afternoon, colleagues in the nursing profession. First and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to the speaker to their valuable contributions to today's webinar entitled Resiliency and Possibility in the New Era of Teaching and Learning. My deepest gratitude goes to all of you who took time out of your busy schedules just to be with us and help to make it a successful event. After hearing from a very knowledgeable resource speaker today, I realized that a lot of opportunities for doing things better in our work to improve the teaching and learning process are wide and limitless. I have gained a better understanding of the topic as they highlight the challenges and possibility in the new era of teaching and learning. Dr. Berdida lectures the overall response of nursing education's abrupt change from traditional to face-to-face to online class, contextual issue with the solutions do not fit all, and challenges and attempt to mitigate the clinical placement crisis and impact of COVID-19 on nursing students. He also shared a quote from the president of International Council of Nurses, Annette Kennedy. There will be no health system without nurses, and this is extremely true. Dr. Balena discussed about the online learning platforms, the transition from face-to-face classes to online classes during pandemic, challenges in using online platforms during pandemic. Lastly, must to be thankful of are the men and women behind the completion of this relevant activity that brought out each one of us to experience and share our best talents. With all our scholarly discussions and recommendations, it was ended meaningful for us students who believe in the value of this activity in transforming our capacities that at the same time extending substantial learning of our participants today. Lastly, on behalf of Concordia College School of Nursing, I wish to express my gratitude again to our speaker, to you who have been extremely cooperative in staying with us at this special event and for sharing your experiences and thoughts. Finally, we would like to thank God for the gift of wisdom and guidance as we continue to give value to education as our strong arm in building our competencies as committed nursing educators and practitioners. To God be the glory.
Thank you, Ma'am Virginia. I hope you enjoyed our webinar today. Before concluding, may we ask your participation in answering our evaluation tool provided by our team. The link will be posted in the chat box below. This evaluation will help us to improve further our program design and implementation for the next webinar event. For the certificate of attendance, it will be sent electronically through your corresponding emails during registration. Once again, thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you
Dr.
again, Doc.
Balena.
Thank you, Doc. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you po.
Thank you, sir.
While answering the evaluation tool, I would like to express our gratitude to our advisor, Dr. Rodolfo Borromeo, for guiding and inspiring us to make this webinar possible. To our Dean, Dr. Rosalina Kaubik, for supporting us all the way. And to the beautiful men and women of Graduate School of Teaching and Strategies class, thank you so much, team. We made a great job. Again, in behalf of the MS and Graduate School of Concordia College, thank you so much and God bless.
Congratulations, Melissa. Yeah, and
Thank you, Doc.
everyone,
Thank you.
everyone. Very good, very good. Yeah. May ending song pa. See, I told you, kaya nyo yan. Diba? Very good, very good.
Maraming salamat po, Doc.
Yeah, no, very smooth, no? So, I hope others also manage like, pero I think, no, everyone appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you so much, participants po. Certificates will be sent via email po. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe you can stop sharing naman. No? Meron pang music.
When you're close to tears, remember someday it'll all be over.
Wala naghahang siya talaga. Okay na? Na ano na lahat?
Dok, may participants pa po. Baka nagsasagot pa po ng evaluation tool.
Okay. But anyway, so kamusta? How was the experience? Any sharing? No?
Mixed
How was the
emotions, Dok.
activity?
Mixed emotions, Dok.
Doc,
Bakit?
scary. Doc, scary.
Scary. Bakit scary?
Pero Doc, we survive.
O naman. Bakit hindi? Di ba? Importante lang when you do an activity, forget about the glitches. It happens talaga. Pero ang importante is you enjoy the activity. you enjoy and learn from the activity. Kasi if you don't enjoy, magiging ano lang burden lang yan sa inyo. So you can just imagine, you can even do more than bigger event like this. No? I mean, bigger than this one. So madali lang naman siya. I mean, the most important thing is you did not do it in fragmented manner. Ibig sabihin, you really work as a team. So I saw the communication really very hot in the GC, no? Minsan nagigising ako madaling araw din na ako pinapatulog dahil yun na lang ang ginagawa ninyo buong 24 hours, 24/7 na ata kayo nagko-communicate. Alang ya talaga biglang iilaw yung di ba? Madaling araw, umiilaw. Diyos ko po. Alam ko kung ano na yun. But anyway, it's how you win championships, di ba? You have to work as a team. Hindi pwedeng individual yan. And thank you for all the supports of those members of the committee. Of course, it will not happen without them, without the contributions of each one. Yeah, very happy. Very good speakers you have and good selection. Congratulations to the team.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you po.
Thank you so much.
Una, dami yung uncertainties Akala nyo will not be able to pull it off.
And we learn how to make a contingency plan, sir.
Yeah.
Opo.
Tama, Mark. You have to kasi hindi naman laging naka-structure lahat Kaya nga dapat you have to be flexible. And circumstantial lahat yan, no? Even if you have planned, you have perfected everything, may mga bagay na it needs some adjustments as well, di ba? How about yung iba? Aba, si G, kinapture niya pa talaga yung mga nag-synthesis talaga siya.
Ay, sabi mo, hindi na nakikinig do.
Minoment niya talaga, kaya nag-moment ang lola mo sa huli. Okay lang naman. Maganda nga yun when I saw her closing remarks, wala man talaga yon. Good that she was able to still capture the meaning hindi lang siya nagpicture, nagkinig talaga siya.
Yes, do. Nag-take down notes ako.
Nag-take note. At may pa-quote ko. Sorry, Chantel is there. I was saying, Chantel, that G, during her closing remarks, she was able to capture some of the statements shared by our speakers. So that's good thing. It wasn't really just a plain closing remarks, but it was something relevant because she was able to capture points that were emphasized by the speaker. Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah. Sino to? Yeah. Si Dr. Santos is here, no? Yeah, regards Dr. Santos. I will answer him. Used to be, I think he was the chief nurse, no? Former chief nurse or still chief nurse of Hospital ng Makati. Say hi and Dr. Henry.
Thank you po. God bless, Doc. Former.
Ay, nandiyan ka pala, Doc Henry. Nice to hear from you again. No, yeah. Best regards. Happy for you attending our webinar. Thank you po.
Congrats po. Sige po, sir. Hindi na po.
Sige, bye-bye. Ingat.
God bless to all. Congratulations to all.
Congratulations, Doc. He was my former co-faculty at pamantasan ng Luzon ng Maynila. Doc Henry Santos. Former chief nurse also. Yeah. Hospital ng Makati. Yeah. And happy. Unless you have other things to say.
Doc, through this webinar, we able to discover everyone's talent.
Yeah. Kasi nagsasabi it's a role playing activity. Kaya nga it really matters a lot when each one plays their role very well. So there's no overlap, and you were focused on the responsibility and the task given to you, and this is really something that gives merit to the milestone of the team. Diba? Okay, what else? Any other? So yes, Allen. Go ahead.
I think in general, tulad nung we have realized a lot of things, especially yung nag-speak yung student. No? Parang he's speaking, no, parang yun, I mean, that is the reality right now. And maybe for us, na product tayo ng mode of instruction natin is face-to-face. I guess it's our professional responsibility talaga
to I do agree.
Supplement these new nurses. Hindi nila kasalanan that maybe they were born during this pandemic, not taking the profession. We should not persecute them, maybe, and maybe we should, we need to help them. We really need to help them. Yes, yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Allen. I saw your note and I really agree. It is our professional responsibility, to help bridge whatever gaps that they have right now, because that's the reality. You just have to really face it and really help them. Otherwise, there will be no nurses taking care of the patients, our patients, right? And even us, if you become patients. So just have to bear with them and see how you can help them also. Kaya nga you're lucky. You're lucky for having been exposed and given the right educational system that we all enjoyed before. Any other sharing? So thank you, everyone. And I guess we just have to meet when next week will not be, it's a holiday. So yeah, it's April 9 and next is Holy Week. I guess we will be meeting on the 23rd. So, heyday kayo, ha? Yeah. I guess completing this activity is already culminating for all of us. If you'll not be able to catch up with the remaining topics, I guess what you can do is just have to read, but the essence of everything has already been taken with all the principles shared and things that you have experienced today. Okay, so again, congratulations and happy. Looking forward.
Wala po tayong picture. Sorry.
Oo.
We should
Part
have
ng
a picture.
documentation yan. Otherwise, wala. Sige, everyone, please open your video. Videos, everyone. Okay. Who will take the picture? Who will do the honor of taking the pictures?
Ako na po, Doc. Ako na po.
Ako pala mag-check din ng picture ninyo dahil i-send ko siya sa ano. Okay, then go ahead, Melissa, our chair.
Open your camera, guys.
Huwag ka na, G. Kanina ka pa nagpipicture eh.
Ay, grabe ka talaga sa akin, Jer. Grabe, huwag na daw ako.
Overexposed ka na, te. Kanina ka pa picture ng picture.
Hayaan mo na, sir, artistahin.
Okay na? Are we good?
Okay na, sis.
Okay. See you around. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you po. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.